Hello, hello, hello. So I'm live. Yeah. And I started this live stream because I had a few requests. Some people in America haven't heard me at this time of day. It is, according to my watch. There goes my shirt. It is according to my watch. It is it is 12:25 a.m. So there you go. So I'm up nice and early or late or whatever you want to call it. And hello, Fugspiracy. G'day, Ancient Mysteries and Modern Innovations. Oh, hello. So you're both from UK. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah. And so while we're waiting for more people to come on here, yeah, I got all these books. Look, I want to tell you a secret. So I've got this little publisher called Plus Ultra Books, and this book, Ancient Egyptian Spells. I want to just talk to you about this. I edited this. I made a spell book. I didn't tell anyone this, but I made a spell book, and it's edited by a guy called Alistair Blackwell. That's actually me. Don't tell anyone. G'day, people. But it's actually scholarly transcriptions of ancient Egyptian spell books. And what I did, I actually researched them, and I made an index. I made my own index in there, so you can actually search the spells, because their indexes were just absolute nonsense, really. So yeah, so there's that as well. So check that out on Amazon. Yeah, so how is everyone? Okay, so g'day everyone. John Bovey, Jonathan, Ancient Mysteries, Modern Innovations. Yes. Are you in Florida? Okay. Oh, okay, in Florida. Okay. Mike, Rudy Marley, g'day. Hello, Jonathan. Yeah. So, how is everyone? Yeah. Oh, you want to do? Okay. So it's so just search it up on Amazon. Ancient Egyptian spells, not to try at home. And what I did, I wrote the preface to it. So I added a preface, and that's my index up at the front there. And the preface is this. This is the preface. So I was explaining how ancient magic, Egyptian magic works. Egyptian magic, you want to know what it is? It's basically, they invented everything: white magic and black magic. It's both. Both. You see the precursors of Christianity, and you also see the precursors of all that Solomon rubbish, lesser key of Solomon rubbish and all that. So how's everyone doing? I hope you're doing absolutely fantastic, guys. So Rudy, you're in Scotland, California. Luke says Tartaria thoughts. Yeah, Tartaria. Look, there's something happened with Napoleon's army. Napoleon's army just vanished. Where the hell did it go? But I think the name Tartaria is wrong, because if you look at the flag, I'll have to make a video, but if you look at the flag of Tartaria, the Tartaria flag is the West China flag. It's just a province of China. Then you have the China flag, and then you have the Cochin China, or the Vietnam flag, and they're all a black dragon on a yellow background. So Tartaria is a province of China. It is, or a tributary of China. It is not a great big empire. So the name is wrong, but that doesn't mean the theory is wrong. Who knows? Who knows? Okay, Cisco. Fugspiracy says, I was wondering your thoughts on the Book of Enoch. Well, as I explained in my other book, Confessions of the Gods, here, the Book of Enoch seems to be the biography of an ancient astronaut, and they construed it over time into a religious text. It's got a lot of technical information in there, but there's even more technical information in some of the Russian books, the Russian religious texts, and other apocryphal texts, which didn't get into the Bible. It's not that they weren't holy books. They were holy books. It's just that our Old Testament is just a condensed version of everything. They didn't want to put everything in there. It's a bit too much. Nebraska here. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everybody. Raccoon residents, have you had a chance to look at the water coordinates I sent you, Charles? By the way, nice episodes. Unfortunately not. I'm so sorry. So sorry. So many messages. You know how it is. Following up on Tartaria, the theory is, according to Jerka, the theory is right. But name is wrong. Maybe it's Magyar. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe it's a Magyar empire or something like that. So, hello, Shamuktuk. What's your opinion on the Eye of Sahara and the connection to Atlantis? I think it's a very, it's not a very good theory. Sorry, it's not a very good theory. No, because the opposite needs to happen for that to be Atlantis. That needs to be underwater because of our very high sea levels at the moment. So I don't think it's Atlantis. And it's actually a mountainous elevation, you know. So yeah, I don't think it could be Atlantis because the sea is now higher than it was in those primordial times. Unless you're talking maybe hundreds of thousands of years ago or something. I don't buy a lot of the information that Bright Insight used in that video. He went to some esoteric website and he pulled up information showing this was underwater and all this, and I don't see how that could have been underwater when other parts of the world nearby, such as UK, were actually larger than today because the water was lower. So what's going on there? Some data is wrong there. It's wrong, guys. It's wrong. Okay, so you know Max Igarn. I'm afraid I don't know Max Igarn. Does he live around here? I don't know. Luke says, I think there is an Angkor Wat connection to it all. Biggest metropolis in the southern hemisphere, discovered a few years ago. You're onto the mud flood. Angkor Wat, you know, it's a really beautiful place. I'm reading about it at the moment in a book, and apparently they're the only people who got the depiction of Buddha just perfect, just saintly and just peaceful and spiritual. They got it absolutely right. Zaroon Milkovich says, can you imagine listening to the confessions of God? Like, what would you do if God said, wow, I let 14,000 Hittites get massacred by those Jews, or you know, it just got out of hand? I don't know what to make of that, Zorun. Sorry. Scream Crowface says, I find it hard to believe a lot of things that are doing the rounds. So to speak due to the amount of propaganda that is being used against the public, you know, Scream Crowface, I totally agree with that contention. I think it's very good contention indeed. Tina, hi Tina. Fagspiracy says, thank you. I will need to get the book. There is a map in my local museum and it has Tartaria as part of China. It is a map from the 1700s. You know what my theory is? Tartaria is the old word for Siberia. Because in the 1700s, Russia had only just started conquering Siberia. It must be the old word for Siberia. So check if Siberia is on that map, because I think that it is being used as a geographical region. So Tina says, remember the star constellation that remembers Angkor Wat? Yes, I remember your theory. Hey, Captain Chaos. Vice versa says, Buddha was a troll. Hey, you know what? He could well, he certainly trolled his family by abandoning them mercilessly out of his own greed. They must have been very worried about him, I suppose. His own selfish greed for enlightenment. Yeah, causing all that worry. What happened to that compassion? Well, I better not say that. So, Griorgi once says, ice ages are akin to cocoons. Within the ice, all life changes. And after the change, it knows just what to do. Like the moth knows how to fly. Awesome, awesome. Yeah. So Lethal Outdoors says, Australia, why is our soil all mud and clay, even in forests or parks? Clay means it's very old rock. It's been weathered away, but it's been mixed with organic constituents. So I think that's a sign, supposedly, of the age of the country. But I'm not a geologist. But yeah, that's so interesting, isn't it? Yeah. Tina says Robert Temple's book about Wonders of China is amazing. It is. I've got it on my shelf. No time to read it. No time to read it. Oh, Scream Crowface says, how does it feel like being one, if not the smartest man on YouTube chart? Thanks so much for your compliment. I wish that was true, but it's not. But it actually doesn't feel too good, because people thumbs down my videos when they don't understand what I'm talking about, or if I'm presenting new ideas, they just thumbs them down. And people who make videos and just read the Wikipedia, people say, "Whoa, you're so eloquent, woo!" and they get universal thumbs up. So it's a bit unfair, but what can you do? What can you do? Yeah, Tina says mummification is cocooning. Certainly is, certainly is. Eric, just tuning in, wanted to say I've really enjoyed your videos the last few months. Thanks. And thanks so much, Eric. Thanks so much for that. Yeah. Folks, Brucey, thank you. I'll send you a photo of the map. Thanks so much. Yeah, I'm very curious to see, because if it's being used over a huge area of barren wasteland, it's obviously a geographical term. And I actually did mention this. I went on a Mudflood forum and I mentioned this. I said, look, it's not being used as a country. It's being used as a geographical term, another name for Asia. And some people started getting very angry. And one guy said, yeah, you're fake. I'm gonna expose you. You're fake. And you know, they got angry, so I had to leave that forum. That was people are weird on Facebook forums. I don't recommend Facebook forums. Talok McAllen, hey Doc, keep up the good work. When is Hawass going to let us see the room under the Sphinx? Oh, that hypothetical room on the Masonic maps. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? I mean, there are shafts. There's a room behind the Sphinx. You go behind the Sphinx. You go down the shaft. There's a room. You go down further. There's another room. But they say the lower room is unfortunately all about 500s BC. But I can't agree with that, because they also found coffins in there which are the same as the ones under the Serapeum. So yeah, can't agree with that. That's a bit funny. So Dr. Doom says, hi, I watch your vids all the time. How many excavations have there been around the Eye of Sahara or the Sahara in general? What did the Germans find? You're asking the wrong guy. I'm sorry, I don't know anything about that. But I don't know if the Germans would have been interested in that, honestly, I have to say. The Germans were into proving their heritage as the original Europeans. That was what they were into with the Deutsche Einarabe. And but yeah, I don't know if they would have been interested in Atlantis there. We all know they went to Tibet for Atlantis, and they went to Antarctica, as Robert Shepard keeps telling us, and the Antarctica, all these weird stuff. Yeah. Okay, so experimental elemental, high CK, do you still have your house ghost? I do. Do you remember in that earlier video, it was actually shaking the thing. There are unexplained noises. I think I've actually got rid of it. Okay, how I got rid of it was you treat it like a child, and you actually be stern with it, and you shout at it, and then you actually feel it register a change in the environment, and it starts to feel, but you can feel that the ghost is feeling a little bit scared. And I wonder, so here's the thing. If ghosts are living in houses, that means they're not ghosts. That means they're actually living in the house, and we might also be the ghosts to them. Really? Isn't that interesting? So who knows? Who knows? Bad bug. Hello, dude from Cumbria, England. Oh dear, it went up. Okay. Leaf Flat Door. Zahi Hawass has messed up Egypt data and discoveries, opened hatches and said nothing. When will they give up the good and let us inside? Yeah, probably never, because in Egypt, I've never been there, but what I've noticed is that in the photos, lots of places are just sealed up. They're just sealed up. And most pyramids, you can't go inside. And the reason is they might collapse. But the other reason is people will take stuff. They can't guard all of them. And yeah, but they have a very strict policy. You're not allowed to take anything out of Egypt. So be careful. If you go to Egypt, do not take anything in your luggage. It's apparently very bad. Yeah. Nancy. Hello, Nancy. Yes. So, what do you think of the King's Chamber being an elevator? I've heard of the according to that Frenchman's theory, wasn't the ascending the Grand Gallery an elevator? It was an elevator for moving stuff up and down, and there's holes in the rocks for some kind of mechanism. Yeah, stuff's amazing. Yeah. So what about Nancy says, what about Hawass and the fire in the Tut Museum? The chariot was supposed to have been destroyed, and there was no fire damage, but there was a big crate or two with Roma stamped on them. I don't know anything about Italian archaeologists in Egypt. Are there any Italian archaeologists in Egypt, is the question. We know there's German archaeologists. I think there were some Polish archaeologists. Italian archaeologists, well, who knows? I mean, there must be a lot of archaeologists there. They don't seem to want to dig anywhere else, so maybe. That's interesting. I'm not aware of that. Yes, and Tina, you've said the most amazing coffin found is the one made of dacite. Dacite of that size comes only from Carpathia. That's right. So we have a connection with Europe, which is also along the Amber Trail. So there's some trade. So Egyptians trading sourced their rock actually from Europe to build sarcophagi. That's crazy. That's crazy. So Ancient Mysteries and Modern Innovation says, I have a theory. How do you feel about the Olmec helmets and the purses we see in some carvings being carrying cases for smart devices and helmets being the conduit of the Neuralink type system? Yeah, totally. Because the ancient tales all talk about aerial warfare, so they had to have precious suits, right? And carrying cases, that's part of the precious suits, of course. And that's the thing, guys, because so I've actually been reading part of the Ramayana, and I discovered that one of the legends sounds like the Ring Lord legend. It sounds so much like what you read in ancient British mythology, ancient Norwegian mythology, Viking mythology. It's the tale of the Ring Lord. The Ring Lord is basically Sauron. And he flies around, and he was actually used as a slave to invade different countries, but he can fly. So this is the ancient aerial warfare system or something, you know. And if this tale is found, the more places around the world in terms of variety is found, the older the tale. And so we know this tale is from the ancient UK, and it's from ancient India. Where else is the Ring Lord tale found? So, Noobster says, you ever been to the Bosnian pyramids? I haven't, unfortunately. And by the way, if I skip anyone's comment, just repeat it, because I will skip some, because I'd like to keep up with the latest comments this time. So, if it's a human ghost, it is something else. Eek. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? So, Jerka says, the Magyar is the most likely the worldwide civilization people think of when talking about Tartaria. Yeah, I think you could be right. The Magyar seems to be a basis of the Sumerians and also the Sauromations who lived in Eurasia. Tina says Italy had a massive presence in Egypt, lots of stuff in Naples and Rome. You're right, actually. You're quite right. I mean, just look at the Vatican. So, Hawass took an American documentary TV team under the Sphinx years ago. It's on YouTube. Have you seen it? What's your thoughts? I watched that in the 90s, and that was so funny because I thought to myself, well, Hawass seems to be more interested in the American journalist than he is in the young female journalist than he is in the in showing it off. And he said, we are going to reveal for the first time the tomb of Osiris. And I was thinking, are you kidding me? Has this guy gone to the dark side? Has he gone to the Eric Fontanican side, the tomb of Osiris? What does he mean? But of course, he means every tomb of a pharaoh is a tomb of Osiris. But this tomb behind the Sphinx, even Hawass recognizes it was older. And that's why I said, hey, maybe there's a giant buried there in the fetal position, one of these wide sarcophagi. Later, Egyptians thought, what are we going to put in here? Well, the only thing that's going to fit is a bull. Maybe we'll put a bull in there. That's what we'll do. Yeah, put a bull in there. Yeah. And we haven't really found any actual bulls. We found fake bulls in there. They actually, you know what they did? They actually manufactured bulls. So they chopped up animals, and it was disgusting, bones, and they mixed them with bitumen. And then they made it in a sort of bull shape. And then they wrapped it up, and then they painted eyes on, and it looked sort of like a bull. But inside, it's just a gelatinous blob. It's just a mixture of all sorts of animals. So they only buried these fake bulls. They buried no real bulls. There were no bulls buried there. So you have to ask, why do they bother doing that? You know, but that's the fertility resurrection Osiris ritual. Yeah, so interesting, so interesting. Anyway, psychedelic. Hang on. Gilgi once says, what if the Australian Aboriginal story about the rainbow serpent is actually an account of a glacier slithering through the land and leaving rivers behind it? You know what? You're right, because a glacier looks like a rainbow serpent. And it looks like a rainbow serpent. You're right. You're quite right. You know what? I think you might have stumbled on the truth there. You might have stumbled on the truth. Bilberry says Chamber of the Deep was supposedly a document about underground city of Giza, but it was never published. Anyone know anything about that? I don't know anything about that. Sorry. Rodney, are you ever going to do interviews? I'm not soliciting any interviews. People who are on interviews all the time are always begging people, can you interview me? Can you interview me? I've never done that. But I've been interviewed by that awesome show, that awesome Conspiracy or Not, Here We Come on YouTube, and they have had a lot of difficulties themselves with being shadow banned, banned for outright, and all this stuff. So Talrock says Area 51 raid. Good luck with that. They will shoot you, lol. Yeah, like who can really recommend such a thing? Whoever started that Facebook page about the Area 51 raid has certainly got a lot of questions to answer if something bad happens. And there are videos on YouTube of people watching all these, doing these raids and trying to get as close as possible. But yeah. So psychedelic Druid says Zahi Hawass's words has as much meat in it, as in a chicken feet. This guy's a fake, a fine specimen of an ignoramus. Yeah. You know, Hawass does seem to have a bit of a abrupt side. Mr. Robert Temple called him a psychopath in one interview I watched on YouTube. Robert Temple had to deal with him. He visited Egypt with a stone dating technique, and he dated the Menkore pyramid of 3000 BC, which was quite interesting. So a few hundred years older than is currently accepted. And his theory is that the three pyramids were usurped by these three later pharaohs called Menkore, Khufu, Khafre. Who knows? Steph's Manic Shenanigans says, forget about the raid, when is it? And it just scrolled up. So Munro says, last year a man was shot and killed in Area 51. That's terrible. Tim Schneider says, more live streams. Certainly. I'm really getting back into this YouTube channel. I've actually been out of it for many months. I haven't really been into it after I noticed that I worked very hard and my subscribers were not going up. So I thought, oh, okay, something's going on here. However, that won't be forever. And also my iMovie on this computer was screwed. I just fixed it the other day. So now I can make good videos. But yeah, Nassim says North Korea raid next. Hey, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Jonathan says technology does not know, it is alien. Christoph says, how many ancient past civilizations were there before us? You know, as long as humans, because humans seem to have this big brain, and we like to live nicely. Humans like to live nicely, and they use the brain to live nicely. For example, if you go to Biskup in Poland, I encourage anyone to go there. It is the Pompeii of Poland, and what happens is basically it's an epic wooden apartment complex. It's all been rebuilt. Everyone lived in apartments of equal size, and they're very generous size apartments. They're the size of a one or two bedroom, a modern 1 or 2 bedroom apartment. And the aristocrats or whoever lived in this walled wooden city on an island in a lake, on a river. They were intercepting the traffic, collecting tribute, maybe on the Amber Route. And this dates, I believe it's what, 600 BC? I'm just going to type that in. Biskupin Archaeological Museum, it gets 4.5 stars on Google. 747 BC it was founded. So people have been living in apartments in Europe for 3,000 years at least. They didn't live in caves. They didn't live in little, Yeah, sure, villagers in England lived in tiny little round houses. On the continent, it was more rectangular houses. But people did not live badly. People lived in apartments throughout the Stone Age, wooden apartments. And this is what people do. They don't live in caves. They don't shiver, because have you noticed you can't get to sleep when you're cold? You actually need that apartment. People have lived in apartments throughout the Stone Age, and people don't appreciate this. Oh, sorry, there's comments going past. Okay, so someone's talking about North Korea. Scream Crowface says, what's your favorite conspiracy theory? At the moment, might be David Icke, something's up with Saturn. Or something's, oh, you don't know the moon, something's up with the moon. Look, who knows? And by the way, if I skip your comment, just repeat it later on, and I'll hopefully get to it. Serpents are teachers in the dream time? Sure. Look, I'm Jedi, says Dr. Charles. Have you ever read the Urantia book? It places the flood at 200,000 and between 200,000 and 100,000 BC. I haven't read that. I've uncovered new evidence for the civilization being actually before 100,000 BC, because that's what the Indians say. That's when the Indians actually placed that civilization, according to certain texts. I don't have the details in front of me here, and some of them have slipped my mind, but they actually locate it to 100,000 or before BC. So someone's been keeping some damn good records, I've got to tell you. Yeah. So Maddie Reardon says, you showed an early settlers map of Melbourne in regards to the pioneers. It showed a pyramid on it. Was that pyramid the Shrine of Remembrance? It has crypts and chambers. Must have been. Shrine of Remembrance was built in the 1920s. It was a replica of the mausoleum of Halicarnassus from Turkey. In that Art Deco period, people were absolutely obsessed with the ancient world. Everything Art Deco is actually an ancient style from the Old Kingdom of Egypt. The Old Kingdom of Egypt actually is an Art Deco period. The style just keeps resurrecting. And so they thought, well, hang on, this Egyptian style looks really nice. And that became part Art Deco. So they thought, okay, we'll build a pyramid. What are we going to build? An Egyptian pyramid? That's a bit too much. Let's build a Turkish pyramid, the mausoleum of Halicarnassus. So it really is like a pyramid. It's an amazing building, amazing. So Polygon says, Dr. Charles, how can we keep you in the field more often? I'd like to see us viewers fund an expedition with you choosing the location. How can we donate? Let's grow this channel organically. Oh, thanks so much. I really do appreciate it. I would like to grow the channel. I guess I would have to talk about less esoteric topics. I could have the channel much bigger if I kept it simple, but I just can't help talking about the weird stuff, unfortunately. I would love to go to Peru. Might need a yellow fever vaccine. My body doesn't like vaccines. It doesn't react very well. Egypt, sure. Yeah, I'd love to go to Egypt. Maybe even Indonesia. Look at those pyramids. There's so much stuff. But one of those 3 places for sure, I'd love to spend about 3 months there. Yeah. Steph's Manic Shenanigans says, Indians as in Native Americans or Indians from India? Indians from India. The Native American civilizations were wiped out by catastrophes even just before the Europeans arrived, or while the Europeans were arriving. Catastrophes were occurring on mainland USA. There might have been ice sheets there because the maps are very unclear. There might have been tornadoes. The native cities were destroyed. The natives did not rebuild them. They just left. They died. Weird things happened. I mentioned in a previous video, the English actually didn't bother taking over North America for some decades because they said, look, it's actually already overpopulated with those American Indians. So, yeah, okay, so Elvis says, your thoughts on the similarities between the architecture of Petra and the classical Greek one? How do they add up timeline-wise? So, I don't know if you guys have seen it. There's an amazing documentary on YouTube. This scholar says, he looks like an American scholar. He's been living in Saudi Arabia most of his life. And he said, all the early mosques from the first Islamic century onward, from just the first Islamic century, actually orient towards Petra. and it was, I think he said it was called Petra or something like that. And basically, they had to shift the holy relics to Mecca, which was a desert, nowhere in the desert, and because of wars with Muslims in Damascus attacking them, or proto-Muslims. And so what happened was half of the mosques started orienting towards Mecca, and later they confused Mecca with Becca, which was Petra, and they changed the name to Mecca. So everyone is going to the desert, according to this guy. And but in the Quran, apparently, it's more of a paradise with water and hunting and fish and games. So that's his theory. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on, but that's his theory. That's his theory. So, yeah. Jeff McCarthy says, I'm working on a model of the Great Interferometer. I hope it works. What, you mean the Great Pyramid? That's incredible. Good on you. Good on you. Good on you. I just have to scroll up a bit because people are typing big, nice comments. It's hard to ignore them. Linda M. Howe had whistleblowers that stated the pyramids are really, according to Nancy, 45,000 years old. And he was from Cairo University. That's really interesting. That sounds like the dates of that guy on YouTube who was who had that African, who had that Egyptian guy who was calling it the land of Osiris. He said it was called the land of Osiris before Egyptian. Wasn't that the date he was using, 45 or something like that? But that's really interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, Look, I'm Jeddah says, the Phoenicians or Sea Peoples could be the remnants of the Minoan civilization, certainly. General Malay says, after 51 degrees, the light will come through the surface. Under the pyramid is a large area of water. Yeah, you're probably right. And the reason you're right is the Chinese do the same. They, according to legend, there are lakes under the first emperor's pyramid. In fact, I have to tell you something about that first emperor. He was the reason he's the first emperor, he ordered all the books to be burned. So China had books going all the way back. They're among the smartest people in the world, highest IQ. They would have had a lot of books, a lot of knowledge. He said, burn them all in the whole of China because I want to be number one, the first one ever, the first emperor. So he must have done the same thing with the archaeology. He must have said, okay, I'm going to recycle this, destroy all this, and I'll recycle this massive pyramid as my tomb. And the archaeologists are actually scared. I think they're scared to go down there. That's why they're not excavating. They're scared. Fear is the man's greatest emotion. It's not because they're preserving it for the future. Who wouldn't want that glory? That's about that explanation doesn't make any sense. They go everywhere else but not there. That doesn't make any sense. No, they don't want to go down there because of the mercury lakes, the booby traps, all the dangers in there that the first emperor left, because he was a real nasty piece of work. Yeah. Yeah. Taylor Rock says, don't stop the weird stuff, Doc. It's very interesting. Oh, I'll try not to. Excellent. Okay. So, and I'm very grateful as well. So, Old Irish and Phoenicians is the same language, probably. So if you go to Ireland, it's really interesting because you see the people are half Viking and half Mediterranean. Like apparently they're half Spanish or something. And then you go and you see this even more because Dublin were not conquered by the Vikings. So the men are very, very different to the rest of Ireland. They're not Vikings. They're about 5 feet tall, and they're just so different. They're so different. Yeah. So, Monroe says the Nazis went to India and did massive research on the Mahabharata and Bhagavad Gita. They were researching the ancient hyper-advanced technology. I think they were. You see, the Germans were just so smart, such smart people, and they were really tuned in. They were really tuned in during the war. They just went wild with their research, and yeah. So, yeah, that's right. That's right. So, Jeff MacArthur, who was talking about the interferometers, says scalaways can be viewed by interferometers. That's why pyramids produce them to be seen. I'm really curious as to what you come up with, Jeff. I do think it is a kind of interferometer. If you were to explain it in terms of modern technology, what else could it be? You know, what else could it be? Is it a pump? maybe, but well, you don't need to build a pyramid to make a pump, so it's not a pump. It's something that needs to be big. But yeah. Jolene says, what do you think of Antarctica? It's getting a lot of attention lately. People seem to be obsessed with Antarctica, don't they? I don't know why, because there's not much archaeology there. I wouldn't be obsessed with Antarctica, but if there was a pole shift, then it's a lost continent. Polygon says, blue-eyed, red-haired builders doesn't fit with the official Chinese history. Yeah, indeed. And they're well aware that their ancestors were blue-eyed, red-haired, and it would probably be an embarrassment, certainly. It might not go down too well, because then someone will start to say, oh, hang on a sec. Or maybe they're worried, maybe the Germans will claim it or something. Give it back, like the Parthenon marbles. So Kieran says, Charles, did you get the chance to watch that YouTube channel, Bright Insight, where Jimmy was saying they have a temple on top of other temple columns in Egypt? No, but this might be the temple they recently found, which had another temple underneath it. And this is true. And Norman Lockyer was saying this in 1905. He said, look, the temples are built on earlier foundations which point a different way. They point to the stars. So there you go. We've known about this for a long time, but people haven't taken notice of Norman Lockyer, who was a very good mathematician indeed. Robert Oppenheimer, the creator of the nuclear bomb, even quoted from the Bhagavad Gita. He did indeed. He, in his philosophizing, recognized some similarities there. Yeah. Christoph says, how come Europe has almost no traces of ancient civilizations like temples or pyramids? All we have in Europe are stones from the Stone Ages. What do you think? Not true. So, for example, in Poland, you Polish? There was you go to Wrocław and it says this is the oldest bridge in Europe or something like that, 6,000 BC or something like that, or 600 BC, or because of that amber trade. So if you actually visit the cities and go to the city centers in Europe, go to the quiet areas where there used to be a market cross and look at the ley lines, and you can see that these cities are maybe even 10,000 years old. They're just absolutely ancient, because the rest of the cities in no way resemble the way the ley lines are going. You look at where the churches join up, you see where the temples used to be. In ancient times, there would have been temples there. And you see how much has changed. So the cities are where the people were in ancient times. There must have been a city close to Stonehenge. We just have Durrington Walls, which was the little proto-Druid colony where the priests live. Then we have Amesbury, which at the moment is just a village, but Amesbury must be the descendants of the Stonehenge builders. But I don't think it's close enough to Stonehenge. There must be a closer city. They haven't even found it yet. Oh, yeah. So Polygon says, what do you think of Africa not being a desert only 500 years ago? It probably wasn't a desert only 500 years ago, because it was a cold period, and the maps show rivers and animals and cities. It was probably not a desert. Probably not. This is this El Nino effect affecting the Sahara. Pornox says, I'm from the northwest of England. Most people here have Irish surnames, and we don't look Nordic. Most people here have gold brown hair, but with Southern European facial features. Yeah, it's very interesting, because there's some similarity between the Maltese spirals and the spirals you find in ancient Irish tombs. So there was a lot of traffic between the Mediterranean and Ireland in ancient times. And so you got to ask, why were they going to Ireland? And in that time also, the Irish jewelry, the gold jewelry we've seen is Mayan, or it is American jewelry. It is the same. So the Irish must have been visiting the Americas 2000 BC. So there was so much travel. Yeah, so much travel. Simple Man. Thanks, Charles, for doing another live stream. It's been a while. The first question answer was great. This one's even better. Please keep this up. And people donate. This is better than College. Oh, thanks so much, Simple Man. Vrovny Pshestonik. Hi, Jackie. Hey. Jackie Ventura says, agree. Charlie Kosh Live is great. Thanks so much. Christoph, oh yes, you're Polish. Excellent, excellent. So Rodney, do you think Sardinia was home to an advanced civilization? Yeah, Sardinia is very nice. Have you noticed that Lara Croft lady, JJ, she's very interested in Sardinia, and her hubby, they're heading over there quite a lot to Sardinia to examine what's there. So yeah, there's so much in Sardinia. Sardinia, you know what Sardinia was? It was the home of the pre-Etruscan trading civilization, controlled the flow of orichalcum into Europe before 600 BC when the orichalcum mines were exhausted. It was a special type of copper which wasn't found anywhere else, and they made orichalcum with it. And those Etruscans, they controlled the trade. And when the orichalcum died, you know, I think they literally gave up the sea trade, and they gave it over to the Carthaginians and to the Greeks. And they just said, you know, we're just content to sit here on our little fields and be pre-Romans and pretend to be and dream of the future Rome and all this stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. So Simple Man, I can listen to you. Oh, thank you so much. Look, I'm Jeddah says the Neanderthals had red hair. Dirk Mura says, what do you think about Michael Tellinger's theory? I don't know much about it. You mean about those star temples or something of the pre-humans or the Neanderthals or something? There's circles in South Africa, or also the footprints he's found. Who knows what to make of the footprints? I was reading something somewhere about a giant sandal. There was a giant sandal or something being kept in some cathedral or something somewhere in England, but I forget the details. But yeah, there was some kind of giants before. I'm sure there were. Why would they be in the Bible if there were no giants? You know, the Bible is a history. Anyway, Kieran Franny says, Charles, why have the establishment actively been deceiving humanity about our history? It would seem, why are they so way off? You know what? I think they're not curious enough. Their curiosity only extends as far as what people tells them is so, and no further. And their personality is such that they're very accepting. You could sell some of these people the Sydney Harbour Bridge, and they would say, $1,000 sounds like a steal. You know, literally. Someone tells them it's so, higher up in authority, it becomes so. We all know that experiment. What's the authority the authority experiment? What was it called? It was called the Milgram experiment on obedience. And they took people into a warehouse and they had someone administer electric shocks to a patient. The person in the warehouse administering the shocks to the patient screaming in the other room, were more reluctant to do this in a warehouse than in a scientific laboratory. In a scientific laboratory, they went all the way to the death level, the XXX level. Even when the patient wasn't responding, they kept pressing the button because they were in a lab. It was officially sanctioned. And here's the other thing, So people, let's say everything looks different. The clouds look different, the ground looks different, everything feels different. Instead of analyzing why everything is different, they say, oh, well, if it really was different, they'd be talking about it, right? Therefore, it's not. But they don't realize that they're the discoverers, the first discoverers who should be analyzing it. Oh, anyway, so Judy Gionetti, hi, I just signed up with you the other day. Nice. Look, I'm a Jedi, says, Dr. Charles, since you live in Australia, did you know Australian Aborigines have the highest percentage of Denisovan DNA, up to 6%? Well, that's very interesting indeed. I mean, the Denisovans, the Denisovans, they seem to be pre-Japanese. I mean, the Japanese, they seem to be a type of Mongol person with a massive head mixed with Filipino people, which is really interesting. Yeah. Okay. So, Monroe says he might not be getting new subscribers because it's a truther channel, probably censored by YouTube. The globalists don't want us thinking about the stuff we're getting into. Yeah, bit of that. Well, I can't help it. I mean, I'm not really a truther, but you gotta look for the truth. You gotta look for the truth, and it seems looking for the truth is a bit unpopular at the moment, isn't it? Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, JJ, she's cool. She sure does some traveling. Oh, damn, you can say that again. I mean, can you imagine? She must do, hundreds, 200, 300 flights a year. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. 100? She does a lot of flights. Wow. Maybe she should get a private jet. Look, I'm a Jedi says, oh no, okay. So Scratch says, hey, Charles. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, Kieran Franny says, as Maddie Reardon was asking Charles, what are your thoughts on the mud flood? Mud flood is probably it's probably real. I think my subconscious is telling me that Napoleon's army got stuck in the mud flood. Because you see all those charts of Napoleon's armies, it's a line chart. So he's got that much army. He goes in with that much army, and he comes back with that much army. That just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It makes no sense whatsoever. Surely he wasn't that stupid. There must have been some catastrophe which occurred in Russia at the time while his army was there. Actually, the same thing happened to Hitler. 1941 was the coldest year of the war. So he had a lot against him. He had it was the coldest year of the 20th century. So up to that time. So him and Napoleon, they seem to have synchronized with this bad luck, cold weather. Just crazy. Good looking honky says, Charles, hi Peter, North here from America. Cool. Awesome stream, lad. Thanks very much. Very poor lighting. Yeah. Well, you know what? There we go. There we go. A little bit better. So where were we? Yeah. So Scratch says, weren't all the mammoths that have been found in mud? Yeah, they've been found in muddy ice. You're quite right. Because they weren't suddenly taken by the ice, they were taken by the mud, which became ice. Very good observation there. Probably the same thing happened with the dinosaurs. Have you been reading? I've been reading that the dinosaurs are only 30,000 years old. The dinosaurs carbon date to 35,000 years old. There was a catastrophe at that time. And they're all saying, oh no, they're 60 million years old. Hey, if they were 60 million years old, how do they even get them out of the rock? That rock would be destroyed, pulverized, metamorphosized, you see? So they never carbon dated them until recently. And then this guy's saying, well, they're 30,000 years old. And of course they are. They're the megafauna of the birds. Where else are the megafauna of the birds? Yeah. Oh. In Venezuela, there's a bird with claws on the end of its wings, like Archaeopteryx. So much for a 100-million-year-old bird. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So, good looking honky says, my grandfather fought in the Bulge. Awesome. Donin says, hi Charles, you know if Zahi Hawass works with Mr. Ihab Abdul Aziz Ibrahim Khater in Egypt? That sounds like alphabet soup. I haven't heard of that guy, unfortunately, so I don't know. Someone can chime in. Cisco says, ground that has the right amount of water and is disrupted by the right frequency of ground shaking will turn into liquid mud and flow easily. Yeah. So Kieran says, an independent, unbiased arbiter of truth is water. It will find its lowest level, be level on top and conform to the inside of the container, not the outside, and certainly not a spinning globe. Well, that's very interesting. Look, I'm a Jedi says, in Canada, the comment just went sky high. In Canada, they found massive deposits of mammoth bones, like they all got washed away by a flood. Yeah, the thing is, why are the mammoths so far north? That's what puzzles me. There must have been some kind. I'm sure there must have been a pole shift. There certainly must have been a pole shift. Indeed. So Scratch says the flood happened, and as it rushed over the land, dragging up the land and homogenized it, it's shown in the strata in the Grand Canyon. It is indeed. It is indeed. Yeah. He's the newest top archaeologist in. Oh, he's the newest top archaeologist in Egypt. I know nothing about that guy. But while we're on the subject of Hawass, what do you guys think about this new news? So he's going to release. Apparently, Hawass is going to release news about King Tut DNA, announcing how King Tutankhamun died in 2020. Do you think this is real, or do you think he's just drumming up tourism? Because why would DNA? Well, I suppose DNA would show a genetic disease. So he's basically saying Tutankhamun died of a genetic illness, and Hawass added that Tutankhamun was suffering from lack of blood reaching the feet, and he had flat foot and malaria. Moreover, Hawass revealed that he prepared the script of Opera Tutankhamun to be presented in tandem with the opening of the Great Egyptian Museum. What the hell is going on here? So this goes against all the murder mysteries, the 80s and 90s, all those books saying Tutankhamun either fell from his chariot because he was hooning around, or someone cracked him on the noggin with an axe. So this is rather weird, is it not? But there you have it. He seems to be saying some kind of genetic illness or malaria or something. Yeah, weird. Weird. So, would Hawass know anything about the 7-point star? The 7-point. What's the 7? 1, 2, 3, 4. What's the 7-point star? I don't know about the 7-point star. Yeah. So, look, I'm a Jedi says it's not anatomically possible for humans to get taller than 15 feet in Earth's gravity. They would need legs like elephants, possibly. Yeah. So, okay, you guys are talking about the flat Earth and the round and all this. Talarok says, did he not have Mercury in his system, King Tut? I'm not sure if he did. That's not something I'm actually aware of. Look, I'm a Jedi says King Tut was probably part alien and had an elongated skull and health problems trying to live in Earth's climate. That's an interesting one. That's interesting. Polygon says 3-meter humans would work out just fine. I think so too, because there are plenty of 3-meter doors in the old polygonal walls. At Baalbek, there's something like a 5-meter wall. A 5-meter door. I've seen the 3-meter doors, I think, in the ancient pre-Greek megalithic walls as well. In Egypt, you see very tall doors as well. Even in old mosques, you see very tall doors. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Very interesting. Very interesting. Any more comments up here? Oh, yeah. Back up there, Pono XD says, I think the Egyptian gods were Phoenician and the real Jews that left Egypt were descendants of the Egyptian gods. That's an interesting one. That's an interesting one. Look, I'm a Jedi said the Denisovans had teeth twice as big as modern humans, so are probably up to twice as big as us. Huh. Yeah. Interesting. Judy says, what mummy was found recently to have his throat cut? I don't know, but it sounds like a bit of Jack the Ripper there or something. Thomas says, what are you currently working on now to show us next? Actually, a channel trailer. It'll be a fun little trailer because I don't have a trailer at the moment. Maddie says, Cleopatra's tomb and Alexander the Great's tomb have been discovered in Jordan. They are giants. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It's very new information. It's very new information. I'd like more information to come out about that. I mean, have they? Are these the sarcophagi? Are these the? Were there many layers of sarcophagi, as was usually the case? This could be a complicated question, you know. Scratch says, water is magnetic. That's how gravity works. Also explain, that's the sphere thing, and yes. I thought we settled that a few centuries ago. But that's okay, you know, it's good to discuss. It's good to discuss. So, yeah, so, hello, Jeremy. So Jace says, my house has 13-foot ceilings. Whoa, big doors too. You sounds like you live in one of those places in LA that are feature on YouTube. Jolene says, I have AB negative blood. Any thoughts on the origin of negative blood? I have no thoughts on the origin of negative blood, unfortunately. I just don't know enough about this subject or what the negative even refers to. I'm totally ignorant about that, unfortunately. But I know that's very rare. I know that people say, well, hang on, there could be an extraterrestrial component. These people are very sensitive people. I'm not convinced necessarily. I'm not negative, and I'm just type O, and I can do some psychic stuff, you know. So who knows? Who knows? Yeah. So Rodney says, where do you believe the Sea Peoples were from? The Sea People seem to have been Southern Europeans. We know that they were pre-Etruscans and they were people from the Achaean world. They were Achaeans even. The Achaeawa were Achaeans. They were Sea Peoples. And they're recorded, I think, by the Egyptians or the Hittites. It's really fascinating if you're into the Trojan War to read the Hittite version of it in the official records. It's just unbelievable. Yeah, but yeah, Sea People, Southern Europeans, and you know what? I got to tell you, if if they were fleeing Southern Europe, they were probably being pushed out by the Germans. It was a earlier version of the German invasion that conquered Rome, just an earlier version of that thousands of years earlier. Just the pattern repeating. Yeah, the pattern repeating. That's right. That's right. So, Ponod says, all thunder and electrical gods like Thor and Zeus were tapping into the electrical universe that we can all tap into through Kabbalah or the Taurus energy fields in and around us. Indeed, indeed. Damn Lie Busters said, just had an F-18 flyover and I lost my 4G connection for a minute. Where are you? Sounds interesting. Jace Ventura, do you believe they landed on the moon? You know what? I think they did land on the moon. I used to actually be extremely skeptical because of that waving flag, but I think even if they filmed the flag on Earth, there's still too much evidence that they landed on the moon. So yeah, they probably landed on. You know, so I started thinking they landed on the moon, but then the footage was they only had a little bit of footage. It was very bad. They needed something more substantial, so they might have filmed a bit extra. Yeah. Julianne says, RH negative blood here too. Excellent, excellent. Yeah. Kieran says, I like your honesty, Charles. Thank you. I like yours too. Polygon says, what do you think of Cherokee little people? Small tunneling humanoids. American Indians feared them. Tunnels have been found in the southern US. Okay. If they're tunneling, They could be, maybe they're dwarfs, or maybe they're aliens. They could be the aliens, the ghosts. I think they're ghosts. Yeah, I think they're the ghosts. What I said about the UFOs, because they all come out at nighttime, they seem to be the comet tail of the central sun being pushed away by the flux of the sun, of the actual sun. And some of it comes up through the earth, and it manifests as an orb when it hits organic matter, the swamp gas, or is found near magnetic anomalies like mountains. So mountains are always haunted. And this can affect people, and when it does, for some reason, they see the little people, like in Ireland, they see the little people at the ancient sites. But those ancient sites, the Irish think they were built by little people, but actually they were built by their own ancestors who saw little people there. Yeah. Yeah. Is there a city under the ocean between Tasmania and Antarctica? What makes you ask that? There's Macquarie Island. Have you seen something on the map? Giovanni says through X-ray they found a bloody cloth wrapped around the neck. There was that Tut? You said it wasn't Tut, someone else. Julianne, the greedy vegan, says, Charles, do you follow the YouTube channel New Earth? I watch it occasionally. I don't really watch very much anything. Yeah, but what I saw is very impressive. She's a very impressive investigator. Polygon moonshiners have found skeletons of the little people. Oh, I didn't know that. That's very interesting. How tall are they? Are they hobbits? Matthew Weiss says, "Oh, Doctor, do not have much time. Hope you'll repeat a question and answer soon. Have you seen the new Praveen Mohan video with the little rock, which do look like a dump behind the actual..." Praveen Mohan, he's the phenomenal travel videos, right? Hugs to Mars. Oh, thank you. Jesse Ventura says, okay. Talking about the flat earth still. Lisa Gomez, good day, Dr. Charles from Northern California. Rain for the second time this week. Fall fell early by a week. That's interesting. It seems you always get the opposite of us. So while you have an early fall, we have a very late spring. It's still acting like winter around here. And it is raining like crazy. Yeah, so that's not opposite, okay. Ronnie says, any thoughts on the labyrinth of Egypt? You know, I think the labyrinth could be where it is, under the Zoser pyramid. That's the labyrinth. That's the labyrinth, but tourists are not allowed down there at the moment. Or did they reopen it just recently? I'm not sure. Talok says, how did they manage to get through the Van Allen belt? And if they were hit by radiation, where's the evidence they all lived a long time? The moon mob. You know, that's not an easy question to answer. That's a very hard. Someone could write a book on that. But yeah, that's a very good question. Look, I'm a Jedi said, wouldn't it be funny if UFOs actually came from underground or under the ocean? Well, they do. There is a book called Underwater UFOs. They go under the ocean, they pop back into the ocean. Sometimes they damage a ship as well, because they hover around ships, because the ships are metallic. That's why they follow cars. The cars are metallic. They follow planes. The Foo Fighters, the planes are metallic. You see, they're actually magnetism, and UFOs are literally magnetism, and they're behaving in an intelligent way in response to some human telepathy, or in response to the projection which is creating us, and they're being affected by it as well at the same time as we're thinking. So we think that they're being affected by telepathy. Crazy, crazy. Isn't the world exciting and crazy, people? Isn't it exciting and crazy? But we are too silly to understand it. Oh, well. John Bovey says, I worked with Native Americans in Oklahoma, and they told me to stay away from the little people. I just thought they were messing with me. You know what? Those Native Americans might be descended from the Irish who say exactly the same thing. If you go to Ireland today and go to the countryside, those people, you will always find stories, and they say, Oh, you wouldn't catch me going there. No. Because they don't want their lives to be ruined, because that's what they say. So, look, I'm a Jedi. I love New Earth's channel almost as much as I love yours. Oh, thank you so much, look, I'm a Jedi. Thanks for liking it too, considering I do talk about esoteric things at the moment, especially weird things. Yeah, New Earth is very clever, very clever. Jolene says, what do you think of Nikola Tesla and pyramid energy? Pyramids are definitely emanating something for the apex, as was proven by, wasn't it Mr. It wasn't Mr. Leiden, it was someone else. It was some, damn, I forgot his name. Siemens. Mr. Siemens was in the pyramid, and he pulled it out, and he had to zap one of the Arabs because they were all trying to rob him or something, and they fled. So he just pulled out this Leyden jar just to teach him a lesson or something, according to legend. So that's interesting because he realized, oh, there's energy here. Oh, yeah. So something's going on. Yeah, the energy apparently it spirals upwards and gets stronger and stronger as it goes upwards. And it goes up through the king's chamber, actually. So there's something going on there for sure. And how about all those photos of energy popping out of the tops of pyramids? What on earth is going on with those? I don't know what's going on. I don't know whether they're fake. In this day and age, we can't know whether they're fake, whether they're real. There's why they showed one on the Bosnian pyramid as well. That's got to be surely jumping on the pyramid bandwagon. Could that be real? What time exposure was it? It's hard to. Does exposure even matter in this day and age of digital cameras? Gosh, the world's changing so quickly, isn't it? Yeah. So, Damn Liebusters says, any thoughts on the Antikythera mech device alleged to be made by Archimedes? Did he have access to extensive astronomical observation data, maybe Babylonian? Do you think he made that? I think Archimedes, you know what, I think Archimedes had access to books. So if you look at Syracuse, the old city, it's a megalithic fortress built into a mountain. I think he had older books, older technology, and he just built the inventions out of those books. And those books and ideas and knowledge, they came from somewhere to the west, maybe ancient UK, because he just did too much, just too much. So he must have had a library. There must have been a library there. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, it's just scrolled up. Damn, look at that. It just scrolled up. Okay. So, another dork says, finally caught a live stream. Yeah. So, yeah. So, right. Okay. So, Pornodex says, there's a lot of Egyptian obelisks in the graveyard of my village in England that date back to 1000s, 1300s and older. There's definitely a connection between the British, Irish and Egyptians. Is that the case, really? Because the obelisk is an Enlightenment graveyard ornament. It started appearing, did it not, in the 1600s? And as for the Middle Ages, we don't have a lot of Middle Ages gravestones. They've all just vanished. But where you do see them, you see a bit of Gothic writing, and you'll see maybe a picture of a knight, or you'll just see Gothic writing and a few names, and it will often be flat on the ground if it was a nobleman or a minor nobleman. You sure that is from that period? Cody, g'day Cody, hello. Great start to your excellent. Jace Ventura says, I don't believe Trump is anything special or different to any other lying politician. Polygon says tunnels were 3 feet high and 3 feet wide. Skulls were found that were child-sized with wisdom teeth. Excellent, excellent, excellent. That's you know what? That sounds like a horror movie. That's scary. Cisco says, what bugs me about the moon landings was the suits. Even today, they are struggling to make safe suits for astronauts to enable them to walk on the moon. Yeah, it's you know, it's a bit funny they haven't gone back to the moon. Yeah, it's a bit weird. Yeah, a bit of a coincidence. Lloyd Share says, why did geologists deny that the Younger Dryas event for so long? I wasn't aware that they denied it. Probably because it, you know why? Okay, it just occurred to me. The Younger Dryas is surely a response to a catastrophe. So maybe it is easier to see it in strata in some continents as opposed to others. So they said, well, we didn't find it over here. Are you sure you're not taking something? Are you sure you're not smoking something? We looked everywhere. We didn't find it in our country. So maybe the geologists actually discovered it, found the actual still unknown catastrophe that caused that event. Scratch says, I wish I knew the reasons for obelisks. Well, the Romans said it's a ray of sunlight. So it's a solar religion. So they actually, it's like a fossilized, solidified ray of sunlight. It's alchemy. They actually converted the photonic information into a solid. That's interesting. Zappa says, hi, Charles. Hi, Zappa. Scream Crowface says, are there any historical subjects that are a no-go area for you? Oh, well, obvious. Whatever is not okay with YouTube, I guess, would be a no-go area. Yeah, unfortunately. But I'd love to talk about everything, honestly. Look, I'm a Jedi says, I can tap into energy when I rub my shoes on the carpet. Excellent, excellent. You're getting that that carpet energy. Excellent, excellent. Donnie says, who is closest related to the pre-dynastic Egyptians' DNA? There were, you know what, there were different pre-Egyptians. So there was a Germanic pre-Egyptian tribe. There were Babylon. It was just like today. There were Babylonian pre-Egyptian tribe. There was probably also an African black pre-Egyptian tribe. And they've always been mixing or living in isolation, keeping the other tribe away. But they've actually always had this this mix in Egypt. But there were apparently, according to Robert Temple, Germanic dog lovers who lived in Egypt around 4000 BC. But they only lived in part of Egypt. I forget their exact name, and they made very interesting pottery. Pono says, I felt an energy in my crown chakra that felt like electricity pressure. Munro says, because it proves that dinosaurs and megafauna in general existed 12,000 years ago instead of millions/billions of years ago. Indeed. Look, guys, dinosaurs must be I think they must be very recent megafauna. They can't be millions of years old. I don't believe that. I don't believe that because we have all these beautiful skeletons. Where are all the other grand skeletons of animals from millions of years ago? They don't necessarily really exist. I mean, there would be a lot more humans. There would be a lot more Lucys. Lucy is what, couple million years old. There would be a lot more of those. There aren't. Jace Ventura says, how come gravity is so selective it is supposed to hold all Earth's oceans to the surface, but it will give a pass for a helium balloon? Interesting. So, okay, someone's talking about palm trees. Palm trees. Someone says he demands palm trees for world aesthetics. Zappa says, Charles, who is your inspiration? Yeah, that's a nice question. Thank you for that question, Zappa. Yeah, maybe Heinrich Schliemann, because he found Troy, because they said, oh, fairy tale, and everyone repeats this story. Unfortunately, I don't like his evidence, and people say, well, his evidence might be fake. It might be all fake. But who knows? It's actually similar to the bronze shields. The bronze masks he found are actually, I believe they're similar to, they look like Viking people, basically, what he found, the Trojans. Yeah, so, right, where were we? Other inspirations, probably other, maybe Newton. Yeah, Newton. Oh, wow, he did everything. He did ancient history, he did science, he did alchemy, he did chemistry, he did astronomy, he did physics, he did math. He did everything. He reformed the currency system. He did, Newton, very nice scientist. Yes. Yes, indeed. So, and Jolene says, you have a great personality. You should have your own TV show. Thank you very much, Jolene. Much appreciated. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. So someone's talking about trees and stuff. Why? What are you... what are you talking about? Okay. So Kieran says, actually, oh, no, hang on. Before Kieran, Pono says, Taurus field in and around us is connected to our consciousness. So we can increase our Taurus energy and reach higher consciousness. That's nice. That's nice. And a Taurus is, Taurus, for those who don't know, it's a donut-shaped, isn't it? A donut-shaped energy field. So like that. Bit like a halo, maybe. So Kieran says, actually, the establishment have a record of lying to us. I don't think there is a Denisovan man at all. 2 little bones, and they know what the thing looks like. Doesn't add up. Me thinks. I thinks you're right. I thinks you're very right. Yes, indeed. While we're on the subject of all these palm trees, in the Middle Ages, the palms seem to have been some symbol of the Garden of Eden or something. So in Germany, you see this palm tree and pineapple symbol on all these buildings, and I haven't quite worked out yet what it is, what it's referring to, but it's very interesting. Very interesting. So, yes, Wolfie, you're typing very rapidly. Very impressive skills there. So Kieran says, I think the establishment are desperate to have no creative design. Yeah, it's like creativity is frowned upon these days. If you're pushing new ideas and you're not employed in that field, they assume you're wrong. But actually, all of science is done by amateurs. So Woolpit's okay. Okay, Woolpit. Okay. So he says my previous comment should have been perceived as a serious statement. Like I said, I demand higher quantities of palm trees. Yes, reforestation is definitely a worthy cause. I would encourage you to pursue that. Yes, indeed. Yes. So Lloyd Scher says, Dr. Cos, do you believe prehistory humans used to be more advanced than we are now? Absolutely. Their heads were bigger. We were giants. We were megafauna humans before. So we were huge. We had huge heads. We had huge, amazing ideas. Can you imagine the conversations people would have had? If you look at the conversations in ancient Athens, as recorded by Plato, the conversations involving Socrates. Do you know what they're talking about in those conversations? They're talking about the dimensions of the earth. They're talking about esoteric things, and it's almost impossible to follow their conversations because much of the background knowledge is Pythagorean. It's from textbooks we haven't read, knowledge we don't understand, so you can't actually follow those ancient Greek texts. But those people were not like modern humans. Even 2,000 years ago, the ancient Athenians were not like modern humans. They were so much smarter, so much more amazing. So yeah. Mr. Palm Trees, you're going a bit. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, slow down, Mr. Palm Trees, please. So a lot of Pono says a lot of ancient cultures wear hats that could increase this Taurus energy, enlightenment energy, and the elongated skull could increase this energy as well. Oh, that's a very interesting point. That's a very interesting point. Yeah. John Bovey, your professionalism is admirable. Who me? Pono says, yeah. Okay, so. History Shift says, you're the best. Keep it up. Rickhat is not Atlantis. Oh, thanks very much, History Shift. Yeah, Rickhat is yeah, I got to tell you, it's a very bad theory. It's just not a very good theory, unfortunately. It just doesn't stack up. Yeah, like, and they've apparently found structures there. Fair enough. It could have been a hill fort. That's what it is. But I don't think it's anything too special. Um, yeah, I'm just going to hide Wooly. There we go. Right. Yeah, so Experimental Elemental says caves found in Paranporth, Cornwall due to erosion. Very interesting. Needs to smoke the palm trees. Okay, Jay says, you need a moderator. Wrench me up, buddy. I'll prune the palm tree. Okay. There you go, you're a moderator. Another dork says, have you heard of the ancient harbour they found off the Isle of Wight in England? Might be a connection to Doggerland. Oh, hiya. Hi, Mania. How are you doing? Yeah, g'day. Hello. You found me. So have you heard of the ancient harbour they found off the Isle of Wight in yes. I got to tell you, England, Scotland, Wales has lost so much information, like so much land, so many cities. They've all been destroyed, wiped out, obliterated. Do you know how recently? In the last few hundred years, they've lost suburbs, parts of cities. There are villages, plenty of villages in England, which are right on the coast, waiting to be obliterated. Yeah, so it's not just something that happened back then, it's still happening. So Kieran says, Charles, are you familiar with Manuel Swedenborg's work? He was the third most well-known person on Earth in the 17th century. I wasn't aware he was of that caliber. Now, did he copy the work of John Dee, the methods of John Dee in basically channeling ghosts? Didn't he do that? He was talking to the angels. Didn't Dee do that? But yeah, he said some very interesting things. Now, Zappa says, did you see the report on an extinct fern plant reappearing in England recently? No. Sorry, I didn't. Munro says, why don't you just block palm trees? Click on him, messages, and block. I hid him or I blocked him or something. I made someone else a moderator, so he'll block him. Yeah. Hey, Chucky. Hey, Mania. Jolene Martin says, what mystery would you like most to uncover? You know what? I want to dig up parts of southern England, because underneath is a massive network. You can see it from the sky. It's a massive underground network of super ancient tunnels. I think these ancient tunnels were the inspiration for stories of Atlantis. That's the network is there under southern England. That's where it is. That could be responsible for so many hauntings in England as well. It's one of the most haunted countries there is on the whole planet. Every house is haunted in England. There's something going on in England. America as well, actually. But America, the energy is higher. The spirits manifest as aliens instead of ghosts. Something weird is going on there. Scream Crowface says, what's your opinion on Holocaust revisionism, specifically the numbers stated in regards to Auschwitz? So that's one of the topics I'm not going to talk about. That's one of the topics I can't talk about. You see what I mean? Look, I'm a Jedi. I believe Atlantis, as Plato described it, as it was a mix of memories, including Doggerland and the Minoan civilization. You're quite correct. Lloyd Share says, Dr. Cox, do you hear anything about CB1 and CB2 receptors? Do you know anything about them? What are they? Are they DNA or something? Pono says, I live on the coast of England waiting for the flood. Oh dear. DM says, I think giant humans built the pyramids, Petra, and a lot of other things all around the world long ago. I don't know, just an opinion. You know, I think you're quite correct. That's probably what happened. Munro says, coastal erosion. Some places of Britain are expanding while other shorelines are receding. Yeah. It's like, I think the whole thing's still sinking under the waves. It's still being destroyed. Rodney says many ancient statues in Mesopotamia and Latin America seem to have a handbag or purse in their hands. Any guess? You know, it might be the same thing as someone was saying earlier. Wasn't it the Olmecs or something? They not only were carrying the purse, but they had the mask, the tube. So they're carrying their respirator, like in the James Bond movie, You Only Live Twice. They carry their respirator around. That would be my guess. Or they're carrying the box which held the Shamir of Solomon. They're my two guesses. Thanks very much for timing him out, Jace. He was a little bit on his manic phase, it seems. Yeah. So, right. So, Munro says, my house isn't haunted, touch wood. But what about aliens? Because America seems to, I think that America is where the comet tail or the magnetism is popping out of the earth and it's manifesting as aliens, or, you know, and for some reason it's channeling some intelligence of some of these little humans. That's something we can't explain. That's unbelievable. Pono says, aliens are angels and demons. Yes. Angels and demons of the Bible are aliens. Yes, yes. And in fact, angels and demons, both from another world, you see? They're the Bible version of aliens. Exactly the same. You're quite right. Scratch says, and I'm next to Avebury. The energy there is always off the charts. Well, and that's where the crop circles manifest. I think the crop circles are a crystallizing of intelligence. The intelligence that is contained within the orb, which can manifest, which can capture the information around it and manifest as, say, a Roman legion walking through a house that you get in England, can also manifest, I think, as a crop circle, because you get that in southern England, yeah, near Avebury, you get it near Stonehenge. So the same energy, and people say, well, Stonehenge must have been built in response to crop circles appearing there. It's a momentum circles. It must be where the creation is happening. So they built this snake monument, the two horseshoe monument, which is what it is. And the archaeologists have screwed it up. They set extra holes for the 13 lunar months on the outer ring, and they said, "Oh, look at that! There must have been stones there. There are no stones. It's snakes anyway." Yeah. So another dog says, "Do you think Atlantis was in England?" I'm so fascinated by that idea and links to the Arthurian legends. Yeah, it was England. But what other island is in the Atlantic that was rich in metal and had the tin? You mix it with the copper, you get the orichalcum. The copper coming from America, take it to England, mix it with the tin. They had the tin silver mines in England, and copper is found with tin as well. It's all part of the same network. But yeah, I think it's England. I don't think it's it could be the Caribbean as well. There were trade winds. There were trade winds going up in Columbus's time and today, back to Europe, straight back to Europe. So hey, why not? Why not? Yeah. So yeah. What do you think of ley lines? Oh, ley lines are the best thing in the world because ley lines are the ancient road system. So they're ancient roads. And I think they're amazing, and they reveal a long-lost super civilization because they cut across continents, they cut through water, they cut through lakes, they cut through anything. Yeah, unbelievable. Zappa says handbags at Göbekli Tepe too. Really? Oh, that's right. There are bags, but they can't be bags. Are you sure they're not lunar crescents attached to a picture of the Earth or something? Okay. Flat Earth, maybe. Right. Yes. So, Peter van der Meulen. Yes. Yes, you're one of my prolific viewers. Nice to see you too. Yes, finally. Yeah. Yeah. So, where were we? Yeah, but those bags are certainly a mystery. I'm starting to think that is a crescent moon. That handle of the bag is a crescent attached to another component. They might not quite be bags. Right. Okay. Scratch says, I live on the St. Michael Ley line. That's wonderful because that line is very prolific. It's very it's the best line. When I went to Avebury on a bus tour, and the guy doing the tour, it was a very well rated tour. He pulled out a book, which was the old Straight Track by Alfred Watkins, who invented Lee lines, and he pulled out the dowsing rods, and he made us point to and he said, "Look, I'm walking past the stone," and they start swinging, because we're actually at the center of this Lee line, this St. Michael's line. Very interesting. Bob Lazar, Area 51. Oh, I didn't answer that earlier because I don't know anything about him or Area 51, unfortunately. Jace Ventura, it's a great chat. My pleasure to keep it great. Thank you for keeping the chat great. Awesome. So Munro says, you got me looking for signs of ancient tunnels in southern England. Ooh, awesome. I think there are the tunnels there. To explain, I think the tunnels, they're branching out of the epicenter, which is the oldest town in England, which is Old Sarum. That was actually suggested to me by Tina, that looks like Atlantis. And the tunnels would branch out of there, and one of the apexes branching out is Stonehenge. So this would have been a vast fortress or something, or some ancient thing. And the Stonehenge stones were one of the turrets or something, and they were just lying there in ruins when Stone Age Phoenicians, perhaps Africans, came from North Africa, and they erected them. They were giants living in North Africa. They erected the stones, and they were astronomers, and they had this snake religion, and yeah. Oh yeah. So so where were we? So Giant Secrets, hello. He says, in my opinion, the bag is for water, holy water. Priests can still be seen today splashing water on their flock. That's a good theory. Kai Dan says, I reckon learn the myths of the entities with handbags and you learn what's in the bag. Oh yeah. So if there's any Hindu or Chinese mythology and you happen to read that they are holding a bag, you've got the answer. But I haven't read that just yet. I've actually started looking for that, but haven't really found it. Dirk says, have you read the Hidden Hand interview? Thank you for taking your time with answering our questions. Great show. Thank you very much, Dirk. I haven't read that, unfortunately. Sorry. Look, I'm a Jedi. The Anunnaki were low-level worker gods. The Anu were their supervisor gods. And above them were the Eloi, comparable to the Elohim of the Bible. Jafuli Porches says, yo, sorry, I'm like, yo, hey. Munro says, I think Atlantis is in Africa. Possibly. It's it's a mixed up legend, so it could be anywhere. And that's what Javille says, Atlantis all over the world, yeah. Kieran says, I'm missing Mr. Palm Tree already, haha. Oh, there we go. Looks like it came back. Oh, now it's all scrolled. Okay, hang on. Oh, damn, it was scrolled so far. Oh my God. Yeah, so I'll just have to pick a random place. Handbags in Göbekli Tepe and Annunaki. Okay, there we go. They got bags in Göbekli. Yep. Scratch says, fascinating place. My money would be on Atlantis being there also. That is what in response to Durf saying, what do you think about the void discovered in the Great Pyramid? You know what? I think the void is, it could be just sand. So, they always say, the Great Pyramid has 2.5 million blocks and it could have only taken thousands of years to build. You know what? It could be full of sand and loose aggregate, honestly, especially if you're getting stuff like that void. And other teams, there was a Japanese team in the 80s, they found another void in a different place. Don't think that was confirmed by this experiment. So it looks like the density inside the pyramid is not as good as it should be if it was just solid rock. So there are some shortcuts in the Great Pyramid. It's still amazing. Yeah, so someone's missing Mr. Palm Tree. Pieter says, What are we talking about? Our favorite holidays? When are you going to Baalbek or Egypt? I'm sure you'll notice something new. Oh, I can't wait to go to those places, and have a look. And because I think people are not really noticing what's going on there. So Kieran says they had a better chance of a picture of Earth back then than they have now. And I'll give you the drum. Okay. Right. Lloyd says, what's your favorite place in the whole world? Maybe Ireland or southern England. Very nice places, very nice. Just rolling hills and just a nice temperature. And Jace says, pine cones and handbags. One theory says the handbag has pollen in it, symbolizing fertility. Oh, that's interesting. Scratch says, I live near a massive underground tunnel system. It's what's left after the Romans built Bath. Yeah, I think so too. So that area, Bath, Vortigern had his capital in Bradford-on-Avon, which is near Bath, a beautiful town, day trip from Bath. It's well worth visiting. And Bath itself, it has this mysterious energy. To me, it feels like ancient Egypt or something like that. When you're walking there in the morning and you see the stones lighting up orange in the morning sunlight, it feels like you're almost in another world, like in another country. It doesn't feel like England. It has a tropical energy, even though it's cold. So there's something funny going on with Bath. Yeah, there could be some tunnels there. Javel says, USA has giant underground roads and housing built last 3 decades. Got no doubt, no doubt. Look, I'm a Jedi says, Dr. Charles, what do you think the Urim and Thummim magical stones of the Bible really were? Could they have been special crystals or maybe even high-tech gadgets? The Urim and Thummim, they're not the Joachim and Boaz, so they're something else. So the Urim and Thummim, I'm just dialing it up now on the other screen to see what these were. So in the Hebrew Bible, the Urim and the Thummim are elements of the Hoshen, the breastplate worn by the high priest attached to the ephod. They were connected with divination and in general, and cleromancy in particular. Cleromancy, a sort of sortition, it's casting of lots. Casting of lots. So it's like rolling a dice or pointing your finger in a book, for example. That's how they did it. So there were 2 stones of the breastplate. I haven't really researched them. The breastplate, I think it's based on primitive ancient LED lights, a lighting system from a spaceship. And so these lights were being replicated in the jeweled priestly robes. Yeah. Yeah, so good on you for deleting Woolpit's revegetation initiative. Yes, because we all know the Amazon is just a weed. Just kidding. So look, I'm a Jedi. Dr. Charles, okay, so that's done. Zappa, I've seen a man change the flow of Li energy to either left or right when he placed a rock on the line, or rather the Li bent around the stone. That's very interesting, actually. That's very interesting. I wonder if the stone modified the underground stream, which the Li. So what people say in the 70s, they were saying, okay, a Li is an underground stream, and so all the Li lines are underground water because you detect them with the rods. The water is interchangeable with the Li lines. They're the same thing. So people found water as well. Scratch says, I've also worked in them as my last job as a Bath stone miner. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Wow. Pono says, I'm from England and I get synchronicity that led me to things like if I'm thinking someone important or question myself, I'll see 111, 222, 111 on the clock, like some higher power is giving me a sign or confirming what I'm thinking. Maybe something is communicating with me through numbers because they can't talk to me on one-on-one. I think you're quite correct because so I've got a friend on Facebook, and almost every day he posts 1111. because he keeps seeing it when he looks at the clock. Something's going on. Something's following him. So it's like the pattern of his life is wrapped around a number. And people have this in their lives. This happens, yeah. It's but it's weird, yeah. Oh yeah, right. So Donnie says almost 11 a.m. here. What time is it there? 2:07 a.m. Uchronia Utopia says Furbolg, the ancient builders. Indeed, indeed. Palm trees at it again. Scratch. I blocked him. Good. Oh damn. Someone needs to. Hey, palm tree, you need to cut this out, mate, or I'm going to remove you. Okay, you are going to be removed very shortly. Right. So Judy says, I love the chats. Oh, damn, it's scrolled up. Where am I? Oh, damn. Okay, so I'll just have to just cut in somewhere. Oh, there we go. Yeah, what's the name of the oldest town village in England again? It's oh damn! It's Old Sarum. 3000 BC. They've been living there since 3000 BC. It used to have a well in the middle. If you look at it from the air, it looks like Atlantis. It looks the same. Right. Yes. Okay. So I know what they class as the prettiest village. It's on my doorstep, Castle Combe. I've been to Castle Combe. Castle Combe, fairy tale village. It's Cotswolds, right? And it's extraordinary. There's it's very gentrified. There's it's like you step into a movie world almost. It's like a picturesque village. It's beautiful. It's got a beautiful river, cliffs or something, houses on the cliffs, great mansions on the cliffs. And didn't Nicolas Cage have a house there? I believe it was Castle Combe with a hobbit-like door, because that was pointed out to us. So yeah, that's a beautiful place. Jafuli poachers. People come from First Americas and moved, hence why megaliths are found all over Wales and lead further towards the east, and the knowledge becomes weaker with time. I love it. Judy says, do you believe in shift changes? Asks, but you must have missed it. Yeah, I missed it. I don't know what a shift changer is. I'm going to look up shift changer right now. Shift changer, because we're going to satisfy Judy. Shift changing. In mythology, folklore, and speculative fiction, shift changing is the ability to physically transform through an inherently superhuman ability, divine intervention. The Frog Princess, Viktor Vasnatov tells of a frog that metamorphoses into a princess. It sounds a bit like evolution, doesn't it? Or Alberic turns into a giant snake. Votan stands in the background. It seems restricted to mythology. Who knows? Jafuli says people came from the West. Okay. Americas and moved, hence why megaliths are found all over Wales. Oh yeah, I've read that. Okay. DM says, how many layers of the pyramid could there actually be? What if it wasn't originally a pyramid? Many layers. I think many layers. Javel says, Southeast Asian civilization from 30 to 80,000 years ago linked to Ramayana Mahabharata. I think you're quite correct. So traditionally, Ramayana Mahabharata, they say it's 2000 BC. But you know what was happening in 2000 BC? The Aryans, they were living just the same as the ancient Irish, stealing each other's cattle. They weren't fighting these terrific wars in the heavens like the Mahabharata claims. So there was a previous civilization that has been destroyed that these texts refer to. King JB82 says, there's a big cave system under me full of water and sand, but Florida is littered with them. That's very interesting. Florida is also full of Mayan mounds as well, apparently. I've got a book just Mayan mounds of Florida. No, Indian burial mounds of Florida. Lethal Outdoors. Judy's posting palm. Lethal Outdoors. Göbekli Tepe has been quiet. When's Turkey excavating? You know what? Göbekli Tepe is a sort of thing that's not going to be excavated in our lifetime, unfortunately. This is red taped up. Ronnie says, great channel. Looking forward to new videos. Thanks very much, Ronnie. Boosted says, do you think there was once a massive connected global civilization? Obviously, because the oldest ancient legends talk about high-tech warfare in the heavens. Judy says, love the chats. Great Monkey King. Oh, hello, hello. England has way too much rain. You can say that again. Jafuli poachers. I'm in Wales right now. If anyone needs to go find sites, megaliths are found in ancient forts, but no one gives up. Dirk says double-walled pyramids. Stones are in the outside, gaps filled with geopolymer, probably. Scratch says that's where Tears for Fears come from. Bradford on Avon, about 10 miles from me. Oh, really? Yeah, other good bands come from there. What's that one who does Climbing Up on Salisbury Hill? That's and that's near Bath as well. Peter Gabriel. There you go. Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, it's sunny in England today. Nice. In Bath, the Pommies haven't got an excuse for not having one. Hey, indeed. Any thoughts on the sea people? I think the sea people are, I said earlier, actually, just before you joined us, they're probably Southern Europeans. The Achaeans of the Iliad are the sea people. They are literally the sea peoples, but not necessarily a tribe recorded by the Egyptians. It's just going on the rampage, attacking. And here's the thing. When the sea peoples, like Odysseus, returned home, he had a hard time coming back. And when he got back, his home had been taken over by invaders. So were the sea peoples pushed out by people coming from the north? And he managed to get it back somehow. But then the Achaean civilization was destroyed by some kind of cataclysm in 1160 BC, just about 2 generations later. Boom, they're gone. So, the US tunnel system is likely following an ancient one, probably. Yep. So, for example, they're going to dig under Stonehenge right now. They're going to dig it up. They're going to dig under Stonehenge, and they're going to find these ancient tunnels. I'm sure of it. They're going to find this ancient infrastructure, which the Stonehenge builders recycled. They recycled part of it, but there's surely more under the ground there. There's a lot more. Giovanni says, love Ireland. I was there 3 months. London for a week. Awesome. They're very, I have to say, UK is very impressive. And Ireland is also very impressive. The natural scenery especially. So Jolene says, did they ever explain the 2 small holes behind the wall in King Tut's tomb? Those holes were probably for the excavating. They were probably for they were looking for another tomb. They were looking for continuation of the tomb, possibly, because they drill a hole into the doorway of the tomb initially in order to see the wondrous things, according to Howard Carter. So he was looking for another tomb, I guess. That's my guess, but I don't know anything about those 2 holes. Sorry. King Jib says there's a guy that tried mapping the underground system in Egypt, trying to link it to a big giant ram pump style system to move water up to store for dry times. That's interesting. Look, I'm a Jedi says, I live near a former American Indian mound. They dug it up years ago and claimed they found nothing, but then built a Walmart on top of it. Yeah, it sounds pretty typical to me. Scratch says my ex-wife was born there, actually, so was my oldest daughter. Oh, in Bradford on Avon, very nice. Castle Coombe. You know, that's such a beautiful town. Yeah, it looks like paradise on earth. You're walking along the river, and wow, impressive. Yeah. Indeed. Yeah. Oh, let's just scroll up. There we go. It's just scroll up. Right. Polygon. What do you think of gold crowns being piezoelectric devices? The heat of the head causing the crystals to strain and produce charge directed into the head. I think that's an interesting idea. Wasn't that what was happening to Monkey on the Monkey Magic program, something like that? Peter van der Meulen, I love Praveen's phenomenal travel videos. India has the best kept sung written history. It does. We don't connect the dots enough around the world. You should dive into the buildings and stories in India. Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, it's an amazing place. Scratch says, I went to Old Sarum Castle last year. I took a friend of mine from Canada there last year, and Lugashall Castle, and Woodhenge, all local sites, and there's lots. I wish I could go half those places. Yeah, amazing. Blackpool is a weird place in England. I've been there a lot. I think there's a lot of secret societies there. Oh, just the name itself, Blackpool. Reminds me of Blackfriars Bridge in London, where Mr. K2 Lodge was hung in 1982. LVK. Hello, Charles. Glad to get on chat. Hello. Scratch. It's a gorgeous place, Old Sarum. I mean, it's on the outskirts of Salisbury. King John lived there. I didn't know that. But he was a wicked, wicked man. Good place for him to hide, actually, yeah. Munro, so Munro's been looking at pictures of Old Sarum now, and he says the first, which we think is maybe Atlantis, the first thing that catches my eye is the destroyed church. Churches are built on top of places of great significance. They are indeed. Scratch says, I've got some pictures of Old Sarum and all the sites I mentioned. Charles, you in Oz at the moment? I certainly am. Scratch says, Salisbury Cathedral is built on marshland. Anna says, hi. What is your name? My name is Chucky. Scratch says, I rewired that cathedral 20 years ago. You did? Oh, Salisbury Cathedral. Nice, nice. Jafuli says, if you take the newly found civilization of 130,000 years ago in Americas, my statement makes sense. What newly found civilization? Are you talking about Cro-Magnon found there? Yeah. LVK says, I no longer believe that anything's megalithic. It was all made of wood, concrete, brick, metal, and mortar, just as we do today. It was buried in mud or water and petrified into stone. You know what? That could be correct, because who the hell drags stones around the landscape? Doesn't seem to make any sense. I mean, we wouldn't do it today. We don't do it today, and we have huge trucks. We don't put a huge stone on a trailer and take it off somewhere. Why would they do that in the Stone Age? That's interesting. That's really interesting. Look, I'm a Jedi says, okay, DM says, what do you think of India's megaliths or monoliths built straight into bedrock? Yeah, they're allegedly carved, but Mr. Yorkshire accent doesn't think so, Mr. Rebar. You know, I don't know what to think about that. That's some of the most crazy stuff I've ever seen, the stuff you see in India. Look, I'm a Jedi. There were elongated skulls found in Florida as well. That's very interesting. Oh, you're Dan Rose. Oh, awesome. Nice. Yeah, Peter Gabriel, that's right. Oh, we're a few messages back there. Okay, I'll try and go faster. I don't think anything is as old as we're told. All the ancient sites could be merely hundreds rather than thousands of years old. No way to know. We've been lied to so much about everything. We have indeed. Is it buffering for anyone else? Yeah, it's a bit slow for me, it seems. Yes, it's buffering here as if it's 1992. Yes, buffering. Oh, there we go. It's skipped. Right. Pilgrimage to Scratch's Place, lol. Yeah, Monkey Magic, Blast from the Past. Yeah, what a great program it was. Scratch says, according to Graham Hancock, oh yeah, strange things going on in Colorado. Oh yeah, I skipped a few messages, but what can I do? Okay. Right, okay. According to Graham Hancock, who happens to live in Bath, oh, he does, oh, he's got really good taste, living in Bath, that's nice, says that ayahuasca and DMT make you see geometric sights. Well, that's very interesting, yeah. Lethal Outdoors says, pyramids are electric aquifers, the River Nile is the transmission infrastructure, and the obelisks are the receivers. I've often thought too about this landscape sort of electronics. The Chinese did this, ancient Chinese. They did, their ley lines for them are part of their whole feng shui system in ancient times. Pono says the crown on a king's head probably means they're enlightened. Their crown chakra is absorbing energy from above. And the third eye is more active at night as well. Scratch says, yep. And I got to touch the Magna Carta only because I had to update the display lighting for it. You touched it. That's nice. Magna Carta. Oh, the Magna Carta is very interesting. You know what the Magna Carta was? The Magna Carta was. It was not the foundation of parliamentary democracy as is claimed today. It's a bit overrated. There were a few Magna Cartas. It's just the one that survives. The Magna Carta is the nobles saying to King John, you are no longer king because you gave England to the Pope. So now we are taking back some of our rights as English nobles, because since you're no longer our king, what are our rights? Are we still nobles? Because he actually handed England to the Pope in 1213, Magna Carta 1215. So that is the background of Magna Carta that they do not talk about. So there you go. Yeah, so M. Mulder, yes, Jolene, please tell us what is going on over there. I love Colorado Bigfoot. I agree with you. Colorado is, I saw some stunning pictures today. There was some staircase going down. There were clouds around. You know, you could walk down through the clouds or something. It's unbelievable. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Giant Secrets. Thanks for streaming live. It's going well. Thank you so much. Hello, Giants Tartary. So Pono says, I think the Matrix movie is hinting at the truth. Humans are batteries and our spiritual energy is being stolen by energy vampires. That's an interesting premise. That's very nice. Jolene says, cattle mutilations. Giants Tartary says, strong beliefs in giants and a hidden world of information. Scratch says, I just looked at the plaque thingy outside Old Sarum and it says King Henry. So where did I get King John from? Lol. That would be King Henry III, who ruled a long time, 70 years actually. Very stable because the Pope was holding him up. He was King John's son. And the old guard said, he's the king now. And everyone else said, we're tired of war. Fine, he's the king. So, Scratch says, I have a video of the Magna Carta in uploads on my channel. Nice. Lethal Outdoor says, the king, the Pope? You mean Cersei and the High Septim? Yeah. Oh, by the way, the Game of Thrones, I was unable to watch that. It was just because it was so appalling. They were torturing the guy, and I don't know how people can watch that. But yeah, I understand. You know, it's very interesting. And the ending. Oh boy, that ending was a ripper, wasn't it? Everyone expected Cersei to take over, and damn. Oh well, what can you do? That's life. Giants Tartary says, caught footage of a fairy in the woods. Scared the crap out of me. Check it out, my dear friends. Sounds interesting. Jolene says, I live near Cheyenne Mountain where NORAD is. A lot of strange energy. Well, oh my goodness, yes, with NORAD as well. Stikovsky says, what is your favorite knob theory? Okay, so the knobs. They're used at Stonehenge to hold other stones in position. So they're used for holding things together. I think that's the main theory. I think they're used for holding up the gold plates, which were on the cities of gold, described in the Atlantis legend as gold plates, copper plates, orichalcum plates, whatever, on cities somewhere in the Atlantic. Maybe they were talking about America in the Atlantis legend as well. So I think that was just for holding things up. Also, people like ancient... I forget his name. He said that ancient history criticism. He specializes in the knobs, and he says that they might be a relic of the production process of the rock. But he has studied them so in depth, and he says we will never know. I believe. Pono says energy vampires are probably demons. I think soon the angels will come and defeat the demons, which will lead to heaven on earth, where everyone is enlightened. Oh boy, I hope so. That sounds interesting. Cersei handing the kingdom to the religion, yeah. Jafuli says, and thinking about my statement that people came from the Americas first, think of Gaelic people, Shetlands, etc. Judy says, I've made some good friends on YouTube videos like yours before. Keep up the good work. Thanks very much. Giants Tartary says, this flat earth is full of fake news and stories. Lethal Outdoors says, awesome stream, Charles. Thanks very much, Lethal. Zappa says, they are shadow calendars right up at solstice and stuff. The Matrix is real, Neo. Also a cool theory, wish I knew. Okay, we'll wait for that to... Okay, while I'm waiting for that to buffer, look at some older messages. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, let's go down a bit. Okay, so while I'm waiting for that to buffer, yeah. So if you haven't checked out, so I was speaking earlier. I said, look, I've actually done this book as well. It's called Ancient Egyptian Spells Not to Try at Home, and I didn't mention this ever before, but so it's edited by Alistair Blackwell, who was me. And what I did, I took two scholarly books translated, ancient Egyptian spell books translated, and the scholars who made it didn't produce an index which pertains to the interests of someone interested in looking up spells. So I made one and I put it in this book. So there's an index. So that's on Amazon. So check that out, Ancient Egyptian Spells Not to Try at Home, if you're interested in that kind of thing. But otherwise, yeah, there you go. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Rightio. Yeah. So, okay, now scroll. So, what is your opinion on the mud floods? So, yeah, the mud floods definitely happened, but the Tartaria word, I don't like that word. I don't like that word because as an East European myself, there is that the Tatars represent a very dark period of history. And it is said that when they attacked the grass, like my father's grandmother used to tell him, he grew up in post-Russian Poland, that when the Tatars attacked, the grass didn't grow for 7 years. And these were basically very similar to the Mongols. These were not advanced steampunk people. If you want that, look at what France and England were doing. That's the Tatars, that's what people are referring to. But the word they use doesn't pertain to them at all. So yeah, it might not be the best word to use to describe the steampunk civilization. That seems to be what Tartaria is emerging as. Yeah. So hello. So Giants Tartary says lots of stuff about Mudflood on my channel. Nice. Look, I'm a Jedi says I'm ordering as I speak. Oh, nice. Jolene says, what do you think of the Oak Island mystery? You know what I think, Jolene? I think that tunnel is a mine shaft. They found a mine shaft. Isn't Oak Island, isn't that area where there was ancient copper mining? So surely could they have not stumbled upon an ancient mine shaft? And wasn't there millions of tons of copper excavated from there? Now, we're putting those two together. Could it have been a mine shaft? What do you people think? I think a lot of the story is jigged up for investors to part their money. All those things found at different levels of Oak Island. Oh, we found something else. Oh, we found something else. That's for investors to get their money sucked out of them, I think. But clearly there was a shaft. Mine shaft. They found an ancient mine shaft. That's what I think Oak Island is, but it's a strange mystery. Oh yes, you can get that book on Amazon. Yeah, ancient Egyptian. Yeah, so that is one of my books. Yeah, Ancient Egyptian Spells Not to Try at Home. So if you want to look up, so that's got black magic and white magic. The Egyptians did both. They did the black magic and the white magic. So it's strange. White magic is you sort of pray for it, and black magic is you do some complicated, crazy, ugly ritual. And it's all written by different people. It's compiled over thousands of years. It's weird stuff. But yeah, there you go. Like if you want it, that's the best reference. And yeah, I got my other stuff as well. Remember that book, Confessions of the Gods? This is my best book because it's simple, it's accessible, it's easy, it's small. It's yeah, I'm very proud of that book actually. Yeah. Ooh, Ancient Nuclear War. Look at that. Oh my God. Crazy. And my first one, In Search of the Origin of Pyramids, that's one's encyclopedic. Basically, I said all the mounds in Europe are pyramids, and they all are built for the fallen angel to memorialize how the angel fell down from heaven to help humans. So they said, "This is your home, live here," and that's the mystery of the pyramids. I kind of solved it there. Sort of. Anyway, back to comments. Nice. Okay, so rightio. So Munro says mudflood is strange because buildings all over prove something happened. Jace Ventura says government equals mind control. Louis the 17th says guns, God, and government. Giants Tartary, Jace says true, fluorine in our water, mind control, make us dumb. James Oz says the island is too small to be a mine of that size. That's interesting. But see, the thing is, right, when I was in Michigan, I saw quite clearly that there was copper-containing stones on the beach, on the actual beach. So why couldn't they have diverted? See, with Oak Island, didn't they divert? Didn't they create a fake beach? And didn't they divert something in order to build the mine? And then they opened it up again when they by digging through, and they let the water in. So you would do that. That's too much to do to hide a treasure. But looking for doing mining, you would kind of maybe do mega engineering on that scale, maybe, I don't know. So Giovanni, please be careful messing with the occult. You may open a door you can't close. Oh, I don't do any of those spells. I don't do that. I know this. Yeah, I don't do that. But there's plenty of white magic in there as well. Like most of the book is white magic. But it's not actually what it's actually very old spells, very old Egyptian spells, older than what we know as white and black. They're older than all that. They're older, and they're all different. Like some of them are spiritual, and some of them you take ingredients. Some of them you use amulets. They're weird stuff. It's weird, but I don't do them myself. That's why on the book it actually says not to try at home. You don't want to, but they're fun to read. Yeah. Giants Tartary. Sitting through the crap is hard. Under the dome, my friends. Paulo says, I think it's more about eating than fluoride people eat every day and never fast. Our ancestors went without food for long periods. True, people eat a bit too much, myself included. I'm definitely putting on quite a lot of weight, unfortunately. Oh, well, but the only way around that is to eat natural foods, then you don't crave it. Oh, you got Confessions of the Gods. Cool. Nice. Thank you. So Zappa says, white Egyptian priest warred with black Sumerian priests. Possibly. Bilberry says ancient Egyptian spells, right? Oh, yeah, ancient Egyptian spells, not to try at home. And it's edited by Alistair Blackwell, which is me in another... do you know why I did that? I actually did this in 2014 or 2015, and I didn't want to spoil my reputation just yet. Now that it's spoiled, I don't really care. It's not spoiled, it's just that people are a bit judgmental. Let's say they're judgmental. Yeah, but I'm not interested in that working in a museum. That's okay. It's fine with me. So Rodney says, do you believe Hyperborea was real? If so, is it near the Arctic Circle? You know what? I think Hyperborea is either an island of America, or it's Greenland, or it's Iceland, or it's England. Now, didn't the ancient Greek traveler Pythias travel to Hyperborea and say there was a circle of the sun there, Stonehenge? Was that Hyperborea? Didn't he call it Hyperborea, the inhabitants of this land? I think he did. So Hyperborea is basically hyper, hyper means at the extreme end. Borea means north. So that's actually a mixture of Greek and Latin. Hyperborea, hyper is Greek, Borea is Latin. So it means the extreme end of the north, literally. So it would have to presumably be in the Arctic Circle. Maybe it's Norway. Honestly, maybe it's Norway. I mean, what else is up there, really? So, Jafuli Poacher says fasting is good and can give some powers. Yes, fasting is amazing because it actually gives you growth hormone. When you fast, I used to do it a lot. You feel weak because of the lack of calories, but then you have this burst of energy towards the end of the day, which is the growth hormone pumping you up, and you feel younger. It's amazing. And you see more color everywhere. It's psychedelic. Yeah. Judy says, were you aware your lighting is very poor? Oh yes, it's yeah, I could switch on another. It's I'll switch on another. But you see, it's the middle of the night. It's the middle of the night. No, sorry, it's not the middle of the night. It's 2:37 a.m. There you go. Giants Tartary says, when they make food with extras in it to keep shelf life, it's keeping also gut life, making us lazy and easier to maintain. Yes, indeed. They're preserving away the gut life. Yes, so true. Jace Ventura says, magic is just technology, technique we do not comprehend. So true. Jolene says, what are your future plans? Let's see. Zappa says, I think black magic and spells is simply the secret signs to some kind of control over the energies they don't want us to have, hence it's evil. Acid is how you scrolled. It's where it scrolled. It scrolled away. It's gone away from me. Oh, it's really gone through. Yeah, that's right. It's called Ancient Egyptian Spells, not to try at home. Yeah, that's what it's called. Oh yeah, yeah. And that is all of Egyptian magical spells. You can actually search for what you want in there. Thanks to my index, you can just search for what you want, and you'll get the Egyptian way of achieving that. But yeah, I wouldn't mess with it, like Judy said. So King JB82 says, after his comment, production processes of knobs, what if they were a concrete type poured into a bag, then a vacuum hose attached to pull out the air and give a nice fit, and left that dimple? Wow. Yeah, I think you nailed it. That's really good. That's really good. That's really good. I think ancient history criticisms would love to hear that. That's amazing. I think you might have nailed that. Look, I'm a Jedi says fast 1 day a week if you can. Yes, it's a very good idea. Yeah. Okay. Try vegetables and bread only. Yep, that's the way. Yep. Mania says, hi Chuck, you love the chat. You're awesome. You are too. Have to leave now and go to a birthday party. Can you please wish her a happy birthday? Her name is Ingrid. You would make her day. Ingrid, you know what? Have a very, very good birthday party, and may all your wishes come 100% true very soon. Jace says, oh, that's Charles' Amazon page. Yeah, that's my Amazon page. That's right. Yeah. Look, I'm a Jedi. Good theory. Jace, my eyes ain't very good, but is that your hair? He's got his hair like so. That's just Jim Carrey, isn't it? Well, sometimes. Oh, I see. That's no, it's not. Okay, nice. Pono says I fasted for 7 days and I was getting lightheaded, but I felt good. Judy, oh, it scrolled again. Oh, why does it do that to me? Why does it do that? Why? Cisco says, oh, wow, I went on a scheduled bike ride, came back and you're still streaming. Oh, heck yeah, you can say that again. I've been going for, started at 12:15, it's now 2:41. I don't know what that is. Never was very good at maths. The Oracle Tree says, hi, Charles. I feel there is a connection between ley lines, ancient sites, and energy. Absolutely, absolutely. Pono says, We eat too much. We sure do. We sure do. Oh, we eat way too much. Way too much. We only need a third. We really only need a third. And yeah, it's not until you really start eating raw food. I've gone off it, but when you eat the raw foods, you tend to need a lot less calories. The body just makes better use of the calories it has, as if they have a higher quality of nutrition. Yeah. Munro says vacuum-packed granite rock is a good idea that isn't that far-fetched when you take technology into consideration. Indeed. Hello, Shermanator Osborne. Area 45, you look familiar. Been watching since Serpent Mound, Charles. Do you know anything about ancient Indiana? No, I don't, unfortunately. Isn't that where the cowboy and Indians always did their wars? The very brutal Indians, the ones who only ate meat. I forget the name. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't. Yeah, George Cassidy. What do you think of Martian Sweatman's prehistory decoded videos? I haven't seen them. Sorry. Other people say happy birthday. Excellent, 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 excellent. Jay says happy birthday, Ingrid, as well. Right. Yeah, okay. Jafuli says sulfuric acid melts stone, and the ancient Americans used plants to obtain it. Indeed, people have been saying this for years. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. History Maze also talks a bit about this as well. He's got some theories on this. They used hydrofluoric acid as well. When they melted certain stones, it made hydrofluoric acid, which they used to melt the stone. But unfortunately, you cannot touch hydrofluoric acid at all, or you will just die. It's the worst thing there is. Indeed. Axtrax, you've been watching a long time, says, what do you think about the stone Stargate the ancients used to communicate with other star systems and opening wormholes to another dimension? Just kidding, Doc Lol. Some of these questions are nuts. Leaf Dorsey, had me going there. Oh yeah. Leaf Dorsey says, what's your favorite topic, Charles? You know what my favorite topic is? Stonehenge and the Great Pyramid, probably. Just amazing. Oh, thank you very much, man. Yeah. That was so sweet. Oh, cheers. Yes. Yeah, Giants Tartary says we're just a bunch of cattle being messled. That's what Mr. Fort said 100 years ago, isn't it? He said, we're on the farm, but we're being farmed. You know what I mean? We're being manipulated. We're being farmed. Yeah, Charles Fort said that. Yes, indeed. Jace Ventura, great questions, great audience. Yes. Axtrax says, I think the Indians all married into the population. Axtrax says, if you want to say that. Axtrax said, no acid, it's geopolymer or melted stone. Porno said, people think the ones with the power are the people with money, but the people with power are spiritually awake ones who know magic. Indeed. Tennessee Jack 69 says, help, I scissor kicked my dog in the jaw and now it's stuck sideways. How do I fix this before my mom gets home? Well, you could take it to a vet, I guess. I don't know. I don't have a dog, so I'm not sure. I haven't had that problem before for that reason. Yeah. So Munro says, I still think melting the rock and vacuum packing it with technology beyond our own makes more sense than them melting rock with acid. Munro, you're a genius. I like it. That explains the nubs. And I hadn't thought of that. I should have thought of that. Vacuuming, like, you've solved it. Like, that makes so much sense. Like, what do people think of Munro's theory? That's amazing. Hi, Sasquatch, Shaman Osborne, or yeah, Leaflet Outdoors. What about Stonehenge intrigues you most? You know, England is the most mysterious country there is for ancient mysteries. It's got everything you could possibly want. And It's got the creepy grey castles. It's got the haunted white ladies seen in the castles. It's got the mythology. It's got the Stonehenge. It's got the Romans. It's got the Avery. It's got the disappearing Ninth Legion. It's got the Roman roads. It's got the Tintagel Castle. It's got the King Arthur. It's got so much stuff. It's unbelievable. And it's got history going back 2,000 years as well, which you don't always get in Europe. So, yeah, I think England is so beautiful. And Stonehenge has always very much intrigued me because I remember as a child just a picture of some eclipse behind Stonehenge. And it's like, whoa, what's going on here? This is crazy. You know what I mean? Like, what is this all about? So yeah, that's why it's intriguing. The Oracle Tree. What are your observations between pyramids and Stone Bridge energy-wise? Stonehenge, you mean? Stonehenge was a kind of pyramid mound. It is a mound with stones on it. So it was a pyramid. And like pyramids, pyramids have a causeway between two temples. A temple and the temple and the mound. So somewhere is the mound or the temple. So there's a causeway, which is the avenue, and somewhere else there would have been a temple at the end of the avenue. Possibly, didn't in another video I showed where the avenue went, didn't it go to Durrington Walls? So that might be where the temple was, where the Druids had the temple. So that was connected to Stonehenge, sort of like a pyramid complex. Yeah, Jace Ventura offers advice to Tennessee Jack, saying don't kick the dog. Good idea. I probably don't recommend that. Yeah. Cisco says most people with great wealth are imprisoned by their wealth. You can say that again. There's some guy in England, Brighton. He's an evil person, and he evil billionaire or something, and he said more wealth, more problems, but he likes it anyway. Yeah. So Jolene says, what do you think of Edgar Casey? Well, you know, I think Edgar Casey was a very, very good psychic. There's a story that once there was an elevator coming up and he opened the door and the door's open and he looked at the people in the elevator and he thought, this doesn't make any sense. These people don't have an aura around them. What's going on? So he didn't get into the elevator. Doors closed and the elevator plummeted. The cable snapped. And those people fell to their deaths. But he was still okay because he noticed that they were already dead anyway because they didn't have an aura. It was inevitable. It was locked in. Weird, isn't it? Weird. But I think Edgar Casey, very clever person. However, he was also very well read. So many of his channelings are actually things he was reading, like he was reading Blavatsky and all this stuff. So he was actually repeating a lot of that stuff as well. It wasn't just all original information, but he came up with so much. How did he know that Bimini, Bahamas, were going to be excavated in the 60s, like he provocatively said in, the 1920s or something? He knew that. How did he know? Giant Secret says 2:45 in the morning, Charles. Sure is. Monroe says it isn't my theory. Just one brought it up first. Indeed. Miss Walder, yes. Thanks, everybody. She will love that. See you next time. Big kisses. Big kisses. Yeah, big kisses to you too. Lloyd Share says the knobs are where the machinery attaches. Interesting, but I do prefer Monroe's theory. You know, I like the vacuum suction. That's so good. Giants Tartary have to run, my dear friends. Take care of yourselves and stay safe from messed up government and world. See ya. Pono says Amen Ra. Look, I'm a Jedi says have we come to any decision yet about the formation of megalithic stones? Were they quarried or poured geopolymer? I think they were poured geopolymer and then they were just abandoned and set up. And the reason for that is on Wikipedia it says Sars and stone is a natural cement. Is it really a natural cement? I'm not sure. Look, I'm a Jedi says, I believe they must have been poured to be so tightly fitting. King JB82 says, I'm building a concrete wall now, lol. I can do 6,000 pounds installed a day as one person. There's some math. Wow. Micmac says, King Arthur and his electrician, sorry, magician. Porno says, apparently the Nordic gods came from modern-day Turkey or Troy. Maybe the Egyptians moved to Troy after the fall of Egypt and then moved to Northern Europe. Porno says Anglo-Saxon gods as well. Munro says, go research the Bosnian pyramid, the largest one in the world by far, made by the strongest concrete known to man, over 12,000 years old. I totally agree with you, Munro. There is something weird going on. Look, with this archaeologist, he's very interested in pyramids, Mr. Osmanangik. Would he waste his time if it was all fake? Of course not. There's something weird going on there, and he's trying to get to the bottom of it. And people have rubbished him and stuff and said it's not a real pyramid, but no one knows what a pyramid is, because a pyramid is defined as a geometrical solid only in modern times. Before that, it's something else. Yeah, so, oh yeah, oh, it's a scroll again, damn, okay. Danny says, hey, Dr. K, just got up, missed some, sorry, no worries, Danny. Marius says, Jace Ventura, very good moderator, mate, good job. Indeed, he's done a damn good job, big pat on the back. Danny says, greetings from South Carolina. Judy says, Goya, good peeps, was a blast, hope we meet soon. Jace says, doing my best. Danny says, missing your hat and coat look. Yeah, sorry. Rodney says, the tricolour of red, white, and blue are used by a number of nations on their flags. This was also used by the current ancient Egyptian pharaohs for their crowns. Could there be a connection? I wasn't aware of that. Yes, but it's a very good combination as well. It's a very good color combination. Danny says, we're building a wall in USA too. Awesome. Make sure it's geopolymer though. You want it to last. Munro says, Pono, the pagan gods like Greek, Egyptian, Norse, and Hindu gods were all the same beings, but with different names. They were. They totally were. Like, I'm reading Hindu gods now that are actually would fit Egypt better than the gods in Egypt. They would fit the Egyptian monuments better. I'm going to make videos about that. Extracts. How far back do you think life goes? If it rose and fell over and over, there could be many species of animals way before the dinosaurs. Who were the dinosaurs to the dinosaurs? The dinosaurs to the dinosaurs. Okay, before the dinosaurs, there was another type of dinosaur, because the dinosaurs, are they not sauropods? Yeah, there are lots of them, like the Cynognanthus, but there were other dinosaurs that looked, they were more squat and they looked like giant lizards. And then, because the dinosaurs are birds, so the giant lizards came before the birds, and they were the earlier ones. But I forget the name. Yeah, I forget the name. Anyway, yeah. So, yeah. Lloyd says, Extract says, how far do you think life goes? Okay. Oh, yeah, look, Jedi says, there are genealogies claiming the Trojan royal family escaped the destruction of Troy and eventually migrated to France and became the Merovingian kings. Absolutely. Absolutely they did. And that it wasn't much of a migration. They just hopped on a boat and went to a different city, because we're talking about, we're actually talking about that period was a trading empire. It was a naval empire. It was trading orichalcum back then, and it was civilized back then. Just because it's further back in time doesn't necessarily mean less civilized. I mean, look at World War II. I would prefer you have a lot better chance of survival in Trojan times traveling around Europe maybe than parts of World War II. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, so Lloyd Share says, what are your thoughts on panspermia? I honestly think panspermia is the way it works, and DNA is very old. These are all theories of Jeffrey Hoyle, isn't he? And Mr. Dr. Wickramasinghe, his colleague, and they spent their lives talking about panspermia. So, for example, Hoyle said, well, hang on, look at the how come bacterial spores are the same diameter as the wavelength of interstellar space dust? So they must be bacterial spores too. In fact, they're E. coli. And how come Neptune, say, is all methane? Methane is a product of organic life. And there's supposedly no life out there. Are you kidding me? Methane is not formed in that quantity naturally. It must be a byproduct of metabolism. So there are bacteria there. It's as obvious as that. And people have been so slow to take this up, and they've not even applied it to evolutionary theory, like I've been trying to do in the past couple of videos. You see, that's interesting. Anyway, yeah. So indeed, you're right, Monroe. Panspermia is how microbiological life is spread throughout the universe, the building blocks of life. So the thing is, DNA is sensitive to red light as well as green light. So one has to ask, okay, is it from chlorophyll? Sorry, so chlorophyll can be on planets with a different colored sun. Even it's actually hybrid. It's actually hybridized to live on other planets. It absorbs wavelengths that our sun doesn't emit in great strength, which means that it's actually built for other planets as well. Like this is crazy stuff. Hi, Grundy. Yeah, I've been going for over 2 hours. Well, over 2 hours. Pono says descendants of the Shiva of the Indian god are the chosen people or the real Jews because Shiva and Jesus are the same. I feel like Shiva Jesus has been watching over the real Jews from India to Israel, Europe. Indeed, I think you could be right. Shiva's a bit of a mysterious one. I'm a bit scared of Shiva, actually. Shiva Kali combo. They're a bit. They're the ones that scare me for some reason. You know, they're quite frightening. Yeah. Micmac says, "Do you think we were made in their image for spare parts?" Possibly, but I think what I think the Bible's correct. We were definitely made in the image of some gods. That's a very provocative statement that we were made in their image. Very provocative. It sounds like someone really knows what they're talking about when they wrote that, you know. Loved your video on panspermia in Australia, by the way. Thank you so much. Extract says, geopolymer or possible poured molten stone, both maybe. The unfinished obelisks and certain blocks seem like proof some megaliths are real. They could be cut, transported, stacked, coated with geopolymer. Munro says, isn't Shiva the destroyed god? Well, yes, it is. Shiva Kali are, it's like a nuclear weapon, not activated and then exploding. It's a sort of combination like that, but they're both, or they're male and female, they're consort, or and Shiva Kali, they have a different form. They have a form where they're literally locked in an explosion. I actually mentioned this in my book. The Shiva has a more evil form, which is like a nuclear explosion, which is quite interesting. I'm finding it right now. Let me see. Oh, by the way, this was drawn in the 19th century, based on Hindu mythology. You see, it's sun weapons and stuff. And they didn't have lasers in the 19th century. What it is Arjuna kills Karna. What is that bolt shooting out of the sun? Sun weapons. So there's lots of weird stuff going on there in Hindu mythology. But I'm trying to find that picture of Shiva because there we go. Here, it's Krishna. Shows his celestial form to Arjuna. It looks like the fires of a nuclear blast. We see hundreds of men being sucked into the mouths of the flames, hence a weapon to be used against man. So there's the people being sucked into the flames. So the celestial form of Krishna is a nuclear weapon. So funny, so interesting. And that's a very old drawing. I've just used drawings which are actually from the 19th century, so out of copyright and stuff. But they explain, without 20th century hindsight, ancient technology. They demonstrate it quite clearly. Yeah. So Yeah. Okay, Pono says the Aryans. Munro says Shiva is definitely the god of destruction. Look, I'm a Jedi says Brahma is the creator god, Vishnu the preserver god, and Shiva the destroyer and renewer god. They form the Hindu triad. Look, I'm a Jedi says, in a way. Yes, indeed. So I'll be heading off in about 5 minutes. So I'll answer questions for 5 minutes and we'll chat, and after that I'll just head off to sleep because it's 3 a.m. Yeah. So let's have some more. Jolene says, "What are your 3 favorite books and why?" My 3 favorite. Really hard question, That's a super hard question. Like books or movies, they're sort of both. I like Clockwork Orange, it's hilarious. I like Dr. Zhivago. I like the Narnia books. The Narnia books are the best books. And the best Narnia book is The Dawn Treader. That's the best book I've ever read. Yeah, that's amazing. Oh, wow. Yeah. Micmac. Yeah, my brain's falling asleep. Monroe says, Micmac, not what the CIA thinks. Read this official document. Indeed. Yes. Well, it's taking so long. Oh, yeah, there we go. Look, I'm Joe. Tolkien's got to be up there too. Yeah, I feel like I like the first Lord of the Rings book, but then it sort of loses its steam and it sort of slows down a bit. You know what I mean? It just cuts out a little. It gets less interesting. I found it most interesting when the Dark Riders are looking for Frodo. Like that was the funnest part of the whole thing. After that, it's kind of technical details, and battles and things. It's like reading some history book, boring history book, written by the likes of Churchill or something. Yeah. But anyway, I like The Hobbit a lot better than Lord of the Rings. The Hobbit's amazing. Read that hundreds of times. Scream Crow's Face, thank you very much for taking time to live stream and answer our questions. You should leave your PayPal details on the channel or start a Patreon. Thank you so much. Yeah, okay. No, okay. If you want to buy an autographed book or something, the PayPal is via my email. So there it is. If you want an autograph one, otherwise there's that link right there. So that's my email. And you can PayPal through that, I think. But otherwise, it's just the button on the website, which is that. Yeah. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. It's been a real pleasure talking to you guys. It was a really nice chat. Thank you so much. I think we all learned something. I learned a lot from you people. You've mentioned a lot of things I haven't heard of before even. Yeah. Where are your books sold? They're all on Amazon. Just look up on Amazon, please. And also, but this one here is not under my name. Ancient Egyptian Spells Not to Try at Home. That's not under my name. It's that's what it looks like. Okay. And but I did the preface, and I also did I made an index, so you can actually look up spells based on, say, let me see, based on, say, love or murder, to bring up the spirit of a murdered man. Numerology, horoscope, praise, spell to be praised wherever you go. Revenge, love revenge, to make someone mad. Soul, parts of the soul. This is the index I made, right? Because the index that the scholars made were not based on someone wanting to look up different spells. So there's healing ones as well: eye ointment, fevers, foot sprains, how to find a criminal, how to procure the god Bez, genie formulas from a lamp divination for knowledge of the truth. Actually, how to use the genie lamp, Eye of Horus and stuff. Like this is the original stuff. It's interesting to read, but as Judy was saying, I wouldn't try it myself. It's a bit, it would be a bit they're a bit obsolete, put it that way. Or how to blind a thief, how to invoke the soul of a thief, and even like how to find lost items and stuff like that. Yeah, so there's quite a lot. Yeah. So there we go. Okay, so King G, just reading a few final things. Had to get the concrete off my hands. Have you heard the CIA Adam and Eve story? Crust shift. Any thoughts? Thank you for everything. No, I haven't. Sorry. Good stream, mate. Yeah, thank you very much, Pono. Thank you very much, Micmac. Thanks, Lloyd Share. Thanks, Jolene. Thanks for saying that. Thanks, Grundy. Oh, no worries. I'll do it again soon. Michael, as we near the end of this yuga, there will be less and less the powers that can do to suppress the truth. Thanks very much, Greedy Vegan. Thanks, Bilberry. Thanks, Julianne. Thanks, Jace Ventura. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And Munro, thanks very much. Thanks, Pieta. Thank you to all you guys. It's been great. It's been absolutely wonderful. Okay, I'm going to hit end stream. So it's been absolutely fantastic, guys. Absolutely wonderful. Okay, guys. Cheers and thank you so much. Thank you so much. And you know what? We'll do it again soon. Or next time announce it. You know, that's actually a pretty good idea. Yeah. Bright for a night. Yeah, those are fluoro bulbs in the window. That's my room. Yeah, just fluoro bulbs. But yeah. Okay. Good night, everyone. Cheers.